Chapter 306. Chao Jun was injured. What happened? Hearing Jian Paihuan's words, Lu Er shook her head, indicating that she was not sure either. She only knew that something had happened to 2nd Mississippi. Today was the wedding day of Jiang Ruyun and Chao Jun. After thinking about it, Jiang Peihuan got up, preparing to visit the Chao's residence. Xiao Nani accompanied Jiang Peihuan. When Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani arrived at the Chao mansion, Zhou Lan and Jiang Yuan were already there. Just as she entered the main hall, Jiang Peihuan heard crying. The voice turned out to be from Madame Chao. If anything happens to my son Jun heir, one won't want to live either. Madam, Brother Chao will be fine. You, out of my way. Seeing Madame Chao in tears, Jiang Ruyun stepped forward, wanting to console her. However, before she could touch Madame Chao, her hand was slapped away. Jiang Peihuan, who came over, saw this scene. She frowned but said nothing. From the words of the maids, Jiang Peihuan thought that Jiang Ruyun had encountered some trouble. But now, it seemed that Chao Jun was the one in trouble. Soon, Jiang Peihuan understood why Madame Chao treated Jiang Ruyun this way. If it wasn't for saving you, Jun heir would not have been injured like this. By the end of the sentence, Madame Chao's eyes were filled with anger. When Jiang Yuan and his wife saw how Madame Chao's behavior towards Jiang Ruyun, but considering Chao Jun's current condition, they kept silent. Huan heir, your highness. At this moment, Zhou Rongfang saw Jiang Peihuan and quickly approached. The Chao family, though deeply worried about Chao Jun's injuries, still paid their respects upon seeing Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani. Jiang Peihuan stepped forward to support Madame Chao, then said softly, Madam, I have some knowledge of medicine. May I take a look at young Master Chao? Madam, please allow my elder sister to examine Brother Chao. Her medical skills are exceptional. Before Madame Chao could reply, Jiang Ruyun spoke first. Although she had some displeasure towards Jiang Ruyun in her heart, Lady Chao was still concerned about her son. So, she nodded to Jiang Peihuan and said, then thank you, Queen Cheng. Jiang Peihuan did not say anything and walked straight in. Xiao Nani stayed by Jiang Peihuan's side, and no one dared to comment. Chao Jun lay on a bed, covered in blood. Jiang Peihuan reached out to feel his pulse. While checking his pulse, she frowned. She then carefully examined the wounds on Chao Jun's body. His injuries were not too severe. However, the tendons in Chao Jun's right wrist had been severed, meaning his right hand was now useless. Knowing that the Chao family had a scholarly background, and that Chao Jun was destined to be a writer, this was devastating. But now, Queen Cheng, how is my Jun heir? Madame Chao, who had been watching Jiang Peihuan's every move, immediately asked her after the examination. Hearing Madame Chao's inquiry, Jiang Peihuan said softly, young Master Chao's injuries will heal with proper care and won't be life-threatening. However, the tendons in his right wrist have been severed, and I'm afraid he won't be able to use that hand anymore. What did you say? Upon hearing the first part of Jiang Peihuan's words, there was a glint of joy in Madame Chao's eyes. But after the latter part, Madame Chao's body swayed slightly. Jiang Ruyun, standing by her side, quickly supported her. At that moment, Madame Chao didn't push Jiang Ruyun away. Instead, she grabbed Jiang Peihuan's sleeve. Queen Cheng, what do you mean by that? Are you saying that Jun heir will be handicapped for life? Jiang Peihuan remained silent. But her silence was equivalent to a tacit agreement. Seeing Jiang Peihuan's silence, pain filled Madame Chao's eyes. It's all because of you, you jinx. When she turned to look at Jiang Ruyun, there was nothing but resentment in her eyes. She stretched out her hand and forcefully pushed Jiang Ruyun away. Madame Chao, you can't blame Ruyun for this. Besides, isn't it only natural for a husband to protect his future wife? Zhou Rongfang couldn't hold back any longer. Seeing Madame Chao lay hands on Jiang Ruyun, she directly embraced Jiang Ruyun. Though grateful that Chao Jun saved Jiang Ruyun, Zhou Rongfang had the notion of calling off the engagement when she heard that Chao Jun would not be able to use his hand anymore. She bluntly said, since Ruyun and young Master Chao have not yet performed the wedding rituals, perhaps this marriage should be called off. You all. Upon hearing Zhou Rongfang's words, everyone was stunned. Madame Chao was so enraged she was at a loss for words. Jiang Yuan, who was standing nearby, frowned upon hearing this. What nonsense are you talking about? Chao Jun is now handicapped. Do you want to watch Ruyun marry a handicapped man? Hearing this, Jiang Yuan looked displeased but did not retort. And Madame Chow, witnessing all this, had only hatred in her eyes. Just as she was about to speak, Jiang Peihuan interrupted. Uncle, Aunt, shouldn't we hear Ruyun's thoughts on this? After speaking, she looked at Jiang Ruyun. Ruyun, what do you think about this? Jiang Ruyun had been lowering her head. After hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, she raised her head. She first glanced at Zhou Rongfang and Jiang Yuan, then at Madame Chow, finally stating firmly, I won't call off the engagement. I want to marry Chao Jun and be his wife. Ruyun, have you lost your mind? Didn't you hear what your elder sister said? Chao Jun is now handicapped. Even if he can't achieve official titles in the future, I don't mind. Even if he can't lift heavy objects in the future, it doesn't matter. I've practiced martial arts since I was young. I will take good care of him. So, father, mother, I want the wedding to continue. I want to marry Chao Jun. That's enough. Since this is second Miss Jiang's own decision, let's respect it. No one is to object. Seeing Zhou Rongfang about to protest, Xiao Nani, who had been silent all along, said coldly. Upon hearing Xiao Nani's words, neither Zhou Rongfang nor Madame Chow dared to speak again. In the end, Jiang Ruyun and Chao Jun performed the wedding rituals. However, Chao Jun was supported by someone. Originally, Madame Chow had many grievances against Jiang Ruyun, but when she saw the couple bowing to her, her heart softened. After the ceremony, Jiang Peihuan prepared to leave with Xiao Nani. At that moment, Chao Jun woke up. Realizing his right hand was disabled, there was evident pain in Chao Jun's eyes. Chapter 307. Writing with the left hand. But when she learned that Jiang Ruyun chose to marry him against her parents' wishes, Chao Jun's eyes filled with even more emotion. At this moment, Jiang Peihuan came to understand the cause of Chao Jun's injury. It turned out that on the way back to the mansion, Chao Jun was ambushed by Yan Quan. Yan Quan was aiming for Jiang Ruyun in the bridal palanquin. He originally intended to kill her. Chao Jun was injured trying to save Jiang Ruyun. Understanding the reason behind this, Jiang Peihuan looked at Chao Jun with a touch of warmth in her eyes. After some thought, she said to Chao Jun, although your right hand can't hold a pen, your left hand is still fine. Meeting Chao Jun's puzzled gaze, Jiang Peihuan continued, I've heard that if one practices enough with their left hand, they can write as well as with their right. Write with the left hand? How can that work? Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, doubt flashed in Chao Jun's eyes. Standing next to Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani, seeing Chao Jun's skeptical look, displayed a hint of displeasure. Why can't one write with their left hand? As he spoke, Xiao Nani looked around, then directly took the paper and brush from the table. In front of everyone, he placed the white paper on the table and began to write with his left hand. Jiang Peihuan stood next to Xiao Nani. Seeing the words he wrote on the paper, her eyes twinkled, because what he wrote on the paper was none other than her name, Jiang Peihuan. Even though it was written with his left hand, the words were full of energy and vigor. Seeing this, Chao Jun was stunned, as if deep in thought. Jiang Peihuan turned to him, whispering, writing with the left hand isn't some fantastical tale. As long as you practice diligently, one day, you will be able to write like King Cheng here. Rest assured, Queen, I will practice diligently. Hearing this, satisfaction appeared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. It was already late at night. Jiang Peihuan glanced at Jiang Ruyun, whispering, I'm heading back to the mansion. Take good care of young Master Chow. If anything happens, send someone to notify me. Elder sister, what about Yan Quan? You don't need to worry about that. I will handle it. Yes. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Jiang Ruyun nodded. Subsequently, Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani left the Chow mansion. Upon mounting their horses, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but ask the man beside her, when did you learn to write with your left hand? I was bored when I was young, so I learned. Jiang Peihuan had imagined countless answers, even wondering if it was a military necessity, but never expected such an answer. Hearing his words, Jiang Peihuan looked somewhat speechless. The two quickly returned to the general's mansion. Upon entering the plum garden, Han Feng came forward to greet them. After paying respects to Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan, Han Feng said softly, "Master, Queen, our people have nearly turned the entire capital upside down, but we still haven't found any news of Yan Quan." Regarding the fact that Han Feng couldn't find any news about Yan Quan, Jiang Peihuan was not surprised. Xiao Nani was also not shocked. After hearing Han Feng's words, he calmly said, "Keep searching. We need to find him, dead or alive." "Yes." After Han Feng left, Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani entered the room. After the night's events, Jiang Peihuan was truly exhausted. At first, she was able to chat with Xiao Nani, but soon after he no longer heard her responses. Turning his head, Xiao Nani found that Jiang Peihuan had fallen asleep. Gently dropping a kiss on her lips, he held her close. Somehow, only by holding Jiang Peihuan could he fall asleep peacefully. Despite having trouble sleeping, Xiao Nani could doze off instantly, comforted by the faint scent of Jiang Peihuan. In the capital, at the post station, a figure stealthily sneaked into the station. It was Yan Quan. As he was about to turn around, he heard footsteps behind him. Without thinking, Yan Quan drew his sword, only to hear a soft feminine laugh. "Young Master Yan, I saved you, yet you want to kill me?" "Princess Zhuoma." Looking at the smiling woman before him, Yan Quan softly inquired, "It's me." Zhuoma seemed to ignore the drawn sword, approaching Yan Quan with a smile. Seeing her approach, he quickly sheathed his weapon. After a brief silence, Yan Quan said, "Thank you for helping me today, Princess. But one don't want to cause you any trouble. I'll leave now." However, as he tried to leave, Zhuoma blocked him. Yan Quan looked at her, puzzled. "Young Master Yan," Zhuoma said, "right now people are searching for you everywhere in the city except here. One think you should stay." "Don't worry. I'll help you." Hearing Zhuoma's words, Yan Quan's doubts deepened. "Why are you helping me?" "Because the enemy of my enemy is my friend," she replied. "And besides, if it weren't for Miss Yen and my royal brother's deaths, perhaps we would be family by now." Convinced by Zhuoma, Yan Quan stayed at the post station. However, Xiao Nanya's subordinates were not to be underestimated. On the third day, Han Feng entered Plum Garden. "Master, Queen, we have news of Yan Quan." Hearing Han Feng's words, both Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani set their teacups down. Soon after, they rode towards the post station. Han Feng had the place surrounded, so when Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani arrived, Yan Quan, who was trying to escape, was caught. "Jiang Peihuan, if you have the guts, kill me now. Otherwise, I'll never spare you," he shouted angrily at her. Before Jiang Peihuan could reply, Xiao Nani drew his sword. "Since you wish to die, I'll grant it." As he lunged at Yan Quan, someone suddenly intervened, blocking Xiao Nanya's blade. It was Xiao Juanhao. Seeing Xiao Juanhao block his attack, Xiao Nanya's eyes showed surprise, quickly replaced by mockery. Witnessing the mocking look, Xiao Junhao's grip on his sword trembled, but he held firm. Remembering his purpose there, Xiao Juanhao smiled and said, "Imperial uncle, I'm here on the emperor's orders to bring young Master Yan to the palace. So, I can't let you kill him. I hope you understand." Chapter 308. The emperor summons. Xiao Junhao's smile deepened when he said the last sentence. Although there was a smile on Xiao Junhao's face, his eyes held no hint of amusement, only a cold, piercing gaze. With the decree from Emperor Qi Ming, Jiang Peihuan could only watch as Yan Quan was taken into the palace. Once Yan Quan was taken away, Jiang Peihuan realized that this matter would likely be downplayed. Sure enough, an hour later, news came from the palace. Yan Quan was punished with 20 lashes, but other than that, he faced no further consequences. The Chao family, upon hearing the emperor's decision, felt resentment. However, it was the emperor's decision, and even if they were unhappy, they could not voice their grievances. At the Yan residence. "Your Highness, Prince Qing, I am truly grateful for your help this time. Lord Yan is too courteous. It's my duty." Upon hearing Xiao Junhao's words, Lord Yan said nothing more but glanced at Madame Yan. After a moment, Madame Yan placed a box next to Xiao Juanhao. Then Lord Yan said with a smile, Prince Qing, this is a small token of my gratitude. One hope you will accept it. Opening the box, Xiao Juanhao found it filled with silver notes. Seeing the silver notes, Xiao Junhao's eyes widened in surprise. He promptly closed the box and pushed it back towards Lord Yan, saying, "One cannot accept this. The Yin family has just contributed 100,000 taels to my father, the emperor. How can one take more from Lord Yan? Your Highness, what we gave to the emperor was for him. This is for you. If you don't accept it, it means you don't acknowledge our gratitude. This Quan heir is the only son of the Yin family. If anything were to happen to him, how could one live on? So, these silver notes are a token of my gratitude to you and are nothing significant. Please, Your Highness, accept them." Hearing Lord Yan's words, Xiao Juanhao looked conflicted. After a long pause, he finally took the box, saying, "In that case, I will humbly accept." Jiang Peihuan only found out about the Yin family's tribute of 100,000 taels to Emperor Qi Ming the next day. When she learned of it, her eyes were filled with disbelief. In her past life, she knew that Emperor Qi Ming wasn't a wise ruler. But in this life, she felt he was even more incompetent. However, she couldn't voice these thoughts, neither in front of Xiao Nani nor in front of her family. Soon, Jiang Peihuan had other matters to deal with, as disasters began breaking out all over the Qi kingdom. While there was heavy snowfall in the capital, Jiang Peihuan had been distributing porridge, so the situation there was manageable. But outside the capital, the disasters were severe. Due to these calamities, both Jiang Hong and Xiao Nani were busy from dawn till dusk. On the evening of the third day, Jiang Peihuan and the entire Jiang family went to the Chrysanthemum Hall. The men of the Jiang family wore grave expressions. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan turned to Jiang Hong and whispered, "Father, has something happened at court?" Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Jiang Hong's expression softened slightly. However, he did not respond. Instead, he looked at Xiao Nani. Imperial brother has already dispatched funds to various places, but this money seems like a drop in the ocean, making no ripple. This morning, against the advice of the ministers, the emperor demanded that each household contribute 50,000 taels of silver. Though Xiao Nani's words were brief, Jiang Peihuan could easily imagine the scene in the palace. As for Emperor Qi Ming, Jiang Peihuan didn't even want to comment. Even for someone like Jiang Hong, a top general, his annual salary was only 2,000 taels. For some wealthy and influential families, 50,000 taels might not be much. But for many ordinary officials, it's almost like losing half their life. How could the emperor do this? This is just forcing. Hearing Xiao Nani's words, the old Madame Jiang frowned, but given Emperor Qi Ming's status, she didn't say anything in the end. Enough, let's have dinner first. We can discuss this after eating. Hearing old Madame Jiang's voice, everyone began to eat. Just as they were about to start, Nanny Su entered the room. Looking at old Madame Jiang, Nanny Su said with panic, "Madam, someone from the palace is here. They've summoned the great general, the King Cheng, and also the third master." The fact that Jiang Hong and Xiao Nani were summoned to the palace wasn't surprising. But when they heard that Jiang Ren was also called, everyone looked concerned. Nanny Su, who came to deliver the emperor's decree? It's Chief Wang. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan immediately went outside. Xiao Nani followed after a nod to the old madam. Wang Koren was sitting in the Jiang's living room. Seeing Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani, he greeted with a smile, "Greetings to the king and queen Cheng." "Chief Wang, why has the emperor summoned King Cheng at this late hour?" Hearing Jiang Peihuan's question, Wang Koren lowered his voice. "The emperor is concerned about the disaster-hit areas. Prince Qing went to see him and mentioned the Lu family." After these words, he fell silent. Thanking him, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "Thank you, Chief Wang. You're too kind, Queen Cheng." A moment later, Jiang Hong, Jiang Ren, and Xiao Nani entered the palace. Seeing them enter, Emperor Qi Ming said, "Rise. Great General Jiang, I've called you today because of the disaster situation. Jiang Ren, isn't your wife a daughter of the Lu family?" After briefly speaking, Emperor Qi Ming turned his attention to Jiang Ren. Jiang Ren had probably guessed the emperor's intention. Wanting the Lu family's money. Even though Lu Xiu was married to him, He couldn't represent the Jiang family. So when he heard the emperor's words, Jiang Ren simply nodded. Yes. After that, he remained silent. Seeing Jiang Ren's attitude, Emperor Qi Ming frowned. At that moment, Xiao Juanhao laughed softly. General Jiang, the Lu family is the top merchant of Qi Kingdom. During this national crisis, shouldn't they contribute? The Lu family are citizens of Qi Kingdom and should contribute. As the emperor's son, Prince Qing should do his part. I've heard that the Prince Qing mansion has many treasures. Besides the 50,000 taels, is there anything else the prince can offer? Why not just donate the entire mansion? Before Jiang Ren could respond, Xiao Nani spoke up. Though Xiao Nanya's voice was soft, his words were like slaps to Xiao Junhao's face. Imperial uncle, you must be joking. Could it be that Imperial uncle is willing to donate the entire Qing mansion? Chapter 309. Donate voluntarily. Of course, I am willing to donate the entire Qing mansion. Hearing Xiao Junhao's words, Xiao Nani responded calmly. Xiao Juanhao originally made the statement in jest, not expecting that Xiao Nani would truly be willing to donate his entire mansion. Hearing this, Xiao Junhao's looked visibly upset. At this moment, Emperor Qiming chided Xiao Nani. What nonsense are you talking? If you donate your mansion, where will you live? On the streets? Of course not on the streets. Has my imperial brother forgotten? I am already married. I can live with my wife in the general's mansion. Enough of your nonsense. Hearing Xiao Nanya's words, Emperor Qiming interrupted with an icy stare. Looking at Xiao Nani, he said with a gloomy face, you as a distinguished king, live with your wife in the Jiang family's house every day. What kind of image is that? As long as one can solve the problem for imperial brother, I don't mind staying with the Jiang family. Shut up. Before Xiao Nani could finish, Emperor Qiming interrupted him with a cold gaze. Seeing this, Xiao Nani didn't say anything else. When Jiang Hong and Jiang Ren heard their conversation, had smiles at the corners of their mouth. However, they lowered their heads silently and pretended not to hear anything. At this moment, Emperor Qiming looked at Jiang Ren. Prince Qing is right. The Lu family is a royal merchant, so they should contribute to this disaster. What do you think, General Jiang? Your Majesty, am not familiar with the Lu family's situation. Therefore, Your Majesty should be asking the Lu family about this, not me. Hearing Jiang Ren's words, Emperor Qiming frowned. He had called in the Jiang family members to avoid appearing as if he was forcibly seizing assets. However, what Emperor Qiming did not know was that the Lu family was already prepared to take the initiative to donate. At the Lu family residence, Jiang Peihuan looked at the members of the Lu family, finally resting her gaze on Lu Hao. Cousin Lu, it seems the emperor is intent on taking the Lu family's silver. Instead of waiting for the emperor to ask, the Lu family should take the initiative. This way, the Lu family will have some room to negotiate. Eldest miss, we understand. I will go to the palace right away. After speaking, Lu Hao immediately stood up. Exionaire, please take good care of the eldest miss and aunt. Elder brother, don't worry. Now, most of the Lu family's affairs are managed by Lu Hao. After paying his respects to Lu Xiu, Lu Hao headed directly towards the palace. In the Qianqing Hall. Seeing that the family members were not responsive, Emperor Qiming's eyes were filled with anger. In that case, I will summon the Lu family members to see if they are willing to help alleviate my concerns. After saying this, Emperor Qiming turned to Wang Kuan. But just as he was about to speak, a young eunuch entered. Your Majesty, Lu Hao has arrived to seek an audience. Hearing this, everyone in the hall was stunned. The smile on Xiao Junhao's face froze. Emperor Qiming was silent for a few seconds before saying, let him in. Lu Hao, dressed in white, slowly entered the Qianqing Hall. Approaching Emperor Qiming, Lu Hao gently knelt. Your humble servant pays his respects to Your Majesty. Get up. Although Lu Hao is a merchant, he exudes an extraordinary aura. As such, Emperor Qiming held a favorable impression of him. Thank you, Your Majesty. Upon hearing Qiming's words, Lu Hao slowly got up. Once he stood up, Emperor Qiming asked, Lu Hao, Why have you come at this late hour? In response to your majesty, I've heard about the severe disasters in various regions. Thus, I've come to present a gift from the Lu family to your majesty. Hearing Lu Hao's words, astonishment filled Qi Ming's eyes. Seemingly unaffected by Qi Ming's surprise, Lu Hao continued after a brief pause. Though our business has not been great this year, the Lu family still has substantial wealth. Would like to donate 1 million gold taels to assist in rebuilding the affected areas. 1 million gold taels? Upon hearing the figure, joy overtook Emperor Qi Ming's features. When the term gold was mentioned, his elation intensified. Lu Hao nodded in affirmation. Meeting Qi Ming's gaze, he continued. In addition to money, the Lu family has a significant amount of grain. The young miss of the general's mansion plans to distribute porridge outside the city soon. One thought we could join her. Jiang Hong, you've raised a good daughter. Emperor Qi Ming murmured after a long pause, addressing Jiang Hong. Jiang Hong simply bowed his head in response, not uttering a word. At this point, Xiao Nani spoke up. Your Majesty, although the Lu family are merchants, their contributions to the Qi kingdom are notable. Perhaps they deserve a reward. Emperor Qi Ming chuckled. Considering that the Lu family is the wealthiest in Qi kingdom, one doubt they're in need of more jewels or riches. Maybe something practical would be more appropriate. Emperor Qi Ming with a hint of jest added. You seem to have prioritized your wife's family over everything else. Despite the lightheartedness, Qi Ming sincerely said, in recognition of the Lu family's loyalty, I shall exempt them from taxes for the next 2 years. Thank you, Your Majesty. Considering the Lu family's vast business network, 2 years of tax exemption is a colossal amount. Gratefully, Lu Hao knelt in appreciation. Seeing his gratitude, Emperor Qi Ming's mood lifted. It's getting late, all of you should head home. Without giving anyone another glance, he departed for the inner hall. Watching the emperor's receding figure, Xiao Junhao's eyes darkened. His plans had been thwarted. Imperial uncle is really good at scheming. Xiao Junhao muttered sarcastically, observing Xiao Nani chatting jovially with Jiang Hong. Hearing this, Xiao Nani stopped, turned and coldly responded, it's just a pity that all your schemes amounted to nothing. Father, third uncle, let's return to the mansion. Upon hearing Xiao Nani's words, Jiang Hong and the others nodded at Xiao Junhao and left. It wasn't until they got into the carriage that Jiang Hong looked at Xiao Nani and said, Your Highness, Prince Qing doesn't look like a good person. Be careful in your future dealings with him. There's no need to worry. After all, I am still his elder. If he behaves disgracefully, I won't hesitate to teach my nephew a lesson. Elder brother, you don't need to worry about King Cheng. His wit is more than enough to handle the Prince Qing. By the time Xiao Nani and his entourage returned to the general's mansion, Jiang Peihuan and Lu Xiu had also arrived. Realizing that everything had ended perfectly, Jiang Peihuan heaved a sigh of relief. Chapter 310. Fainted Jiang Peihuan had less than a day of relaxation. The morning meal of the next day had long passed when Jiang Hong and Xiao Nani finally came out of the palace. Jiang Peihuan was reading in a pavilion in the plum garden. Seeing the man enter the courtyard, she softly asked, Why was the morning court session so long today? The man walked into the pavilion and sat down beside Jiang Peihuan. He took her tea and drank it all at once. After putting down the teacup, Xiao Nani finally said to Jiang Peihuan, There's been an uprising in Anzhou. And then, upon hearing the man's words, Jiang Peihuan's eyelids twitched. In addition to the uprising, there are also local rebellions. The emperor sent me to suppress them. Why you? Aren't several of the princes in the court adults now? Imperial brother doesn't want the princes to have too many military achievements. Emperor Qi Ming was not only reluctant for the princes to gain military merits, but also didn't want them to have too much contact with the military. Thus, over the years, all the battles were entrusted to Xiao Nani. Jiang Peihuan was speechless about Emperor Qi Ming's intentions. Jian Peihuan was simply speechless at Emperor Qi Ming's thoughts. After a moment of silence, Jiang Peihuan looked at the man beside her. When will you depart? Tonight. Who will accompany you as deputy generals? Huainan Marquis and your elder brother. Jiang Peihuan had breakfast prepared for Xiao Nani, and then began packing for him. She also packed for Jiang Changbai. That evening, the general's mansion had their dinner in the Chrysanthemum Hall early. Right after dinner, Deputy General Lu came to report that the Huainan Marquis had arrived. When Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani reached the entrance of the general's mansion, they saw Zhao Yong on horseback. Zhao Yong had originally planned to ask for permission to go to the northern border, but he hadn't expected the sudden outbreak of a disaster. Seeing Xiao Nani and Jiang Changbai, Zhao Yong got off the horse. Your Highness, young general. Huainan Marquis. Xiao Nani nodded at Zhao Yong, while Jiang Changbai greeted him with a gesture. Elder brother, I've handed over the luggage prepared for you to Chang'an. All right, understood. Subsequently, Jiang Peihuan said to Xiao Nani, I've given your luggage to Han Feng. Wait for my return. Yes. Jiang Peihuan had grown accustomed to seeing off Jiang Hong and Shui Yin into battles since childhood, so she wasn't particularly sentimental now. After speaking a few words with Xiao Nani and Jiang Changbai, she had Yu Er hand a package to Zhao Yong. Seeing the package handed to him by Yu Er, Zhao Yong looked puzzled. Jiang Peihuan whispered, I know the Marquis lacks nothing, but I've prepared some medicines for you. Please take them with you. Thank you, Queen Sheng. Hearing this, Zhao Yong gave a formal bow to Jiang Peihuan. Don't worry about Madame Zhao. I'll have people take extra care of her. Thank you. It's getting late. Let's depart. Hearing Jiang Shangbai's voice, Xiao Nani gently touched Jiang Peihuan's long hair, then whispered with a smile, I'll send you letters. Take care on your journey and return soon. Despite their reluctance, Xiao Nani mounted his horse Shui Yin. Watching him disappear from sight, Jiang Peihuan then returned to the general's mansion. Queen, are you all right? Yu Er and Lu Er, following Jiang Peihuan, noticed her silence as they walked to the plum garden. Yu Er couldn't help but ask, I'm fine. Let's start preparations. From tomorrow, we'll distribute porridge outside the city. The reason for this was Jiang Peihuan knew that of all the places in Qi Kingdom, only the capital was unaffected. Thus, many refugees would be coming. But the city guards wouldn't allow the refugees in. So the best solution was to distribute porridge outside the city gates. As soon as the disaster occurred, everyone got busy. News of Xiao Nanya's departure reached the Sinang Palace. Hearing this, the great Empress Dowager's eyes lit up with joy. Prepare to send those items to Anzhou. Your Royal Majesty, those things can cause an epidemic. Anzhou is crowded now. An outbreak would lead to countless deaths. The great Empress Dowager looked at the old nanny, disdain evident. As long as Xiao Nani, that bastard, dies in Anzhou, what's a few deaths? Although the Empress Dowager heard the news, there was a hint of disdain in her eyes. As long as Xiao Nani, that bastard, dies in Anzhou, what's a few deaths? As long as Xiao Nani never returns, even if it means the entire population of Anzhou dies, I won't hesitate, she continued. Though the old nanny already knew of the great Empress Dowager's obsession with killing Xiao Nani, she was still visibly shaken by these words. However, when the great Empress Dowager looked her way, she nodded in agreement. Yes, I will make the arrangements. As the old nanny left, a dark shadow passed over the great Empress Dowager's eyes. Jiang Peihuan was unaware of these palace intrigues. The refugees arrived faster than Jiang Peihuan had anticipated. The next day, as she went to distribute porridge outside the city, she noticed a large crowd of refugees near the city gate. Initially, some refugees tried to force their way into the city. Only after the gate guards killed over a dozen did the rest stay put outside. When Jiang Peihuan first began distributing the porridge, some tried to snatch it away. She took out a whip and personally disciplined them until they began to line up. Elder sister, why are there so many refugees? Jiang Xijin and Jiang Songbai had returned to the general's mansion because of the porridge distribution. Lu Xian had also come to help. Hearing Jiang Xijin's question, Jiang Peihuan replied, This isn't even the worst of it. These are from the nearby areas. In a couple of days, people from more distant places will arrive. That's when it'll truly be overwhelming. As she spoke, she began distributing the porridge. From morning till evening, she hardly took a break. As night approached, Jiang Peihuan stood up, feeling a sudden wave of dizziness. She collapsed unconscious. However, at this moment, Jian Peihuan felt her vision turn black. Then she fainted. Elder sister. Jiang Songbai was the closest to Jiang Peihuan. When he saw Jiang Peihuan fall to the side, he quickly reached out and hugged her. Elder sister? Sister Jiang. Seeing the unconscious Jiang Peihuan, Jiang Xijin and Lu Xian rushed over. Cradling Jiang Peihuan in his arms, Jiang Songbai said to Jiang Xijin, Xijin, I'll take elder sister back to the mansion. You handle things here. I want to go back too. No, eldest sister said once the distribution starts, it can't stop. Big brother has already gone to Anzhou. You have to stay. Lu Xian witnessing this said, Songbai, take sister Jiang back. I'll stay with Xijin. Thank you, cousin. After nodding to Lu Xian, Jiang Songbai carried Jiang Peihuan onto a carriage. When they reached the general's mansion, he took Jiang Peihuan from the carriage and yelled, Someone call the doctor quickly. Chapter 311. Jiang Peihuan is pregnant. When the maids of the mansion saw Jiang Songbai carrying Jiang Peihuan inside, worry appeared in their eyes. Upon hearing Jiang Songbai's shout, they hurriedly went to fetch the mansion's doctor. Some people also went to the Chrysanthemum Hall and Yanlin to report. When the Jiang family heard the news, they rushed to the plum garden immediately. Even the old madam held Nanny Zu's hand and went to the plum garden. Jiang Songbai carried Jiang Peihuan into the plum garden and placed her on the bed. Where's the doctor? Why isn't he here yet? Seeing Jiang Peihuan's pale face, Jiang Songbai was full of anxiety. He being the youngest son of the general's mansion, and having always studied in the academy, the maids of the general's mansion had always thought that the third young master had the mildest temperament. Now that they saw Jiang Songbai's appearance, everyone was shocked. Young master, the doctor is here. When Ping'an saw his young master carrying the young miss and rushing back to the mansion, he hurriedly followed him back. Ping'an pulled the doctor and brought him directly to Jiang Peihuan's room. Greetings, third young master. Don't bother with formalities. Just check on my eldest sister. Before the doctor could finish, Jiang Songbai hurriedly cut him off and stepped aside. The doctor then took Jiang Peihuan's pulse. While the doctor was checking, Jiang Songbai didn't dare to speak, even trying to breathe softly. Huan, Shui Yan, supporting the old madam, entered the room hastily and saw the doctor checking the pulse. Seeing this, she instinctively stopped shouting. The doctor alternated between frowning and smiling. After releasing Jiang Peihuan's hand, he greeted the old madam and Shui Yan. Congratulations. Doctor, what are you saying? My elder sister fainted, and you're congratulating? Before Shui Yan and the old madam could respond, Jiang Songbai, filled with anger, spoke out. Both the old madam Jiang and Shui Yan were stunned, but a few seconds later the old madam, with excitement in her eyes, asked the doctor, Do you mean Huan is pregnant? Yes, the eldest miss is indeed pregnant. That's wonderful, truly wonderful. Old Madam Jiang and Shui Yan were excited when they heard the doctor's words. Jiang Songbai was stunned. His elder sister was pregnant. He was about to become an uncle. Thinking of this, Jiang Songbai's face was full of smiles. Looking at Lu Xiao standing behind, he grabbed her hand. Mother, did you hear? My elder sister is pregnant. I'm going to be an uncle. Jiang Songbai was beaming with happiness and excitement. Lu Xiao had a great relationship with Jiang Peihuan, and upon hearing this, her eyes were also full of smiles. But Shui Yan, seeing the still unconscious and pale-faced Jiang Peihuan, turned to the doctor. How is Huaner's health now? Why is she so pale? Madam, don't worry. The young lady is just exhausted. Coupled with her pregnancy, it led to her fainting. A few days of proper rest should make her fine. Do you need to prescribe any medicine? No need. The eldest miss is in excellent health. Just adjust her diet and eat more nutritious foods. Medicines have their side effects, and given her current situation, it's not suitable for her to take any. Yu Zhen, remember to reward the doctor when you send him out. Old Madame Jiang looked at Nanny Su and said in a low voice, "Yes." Nanny Su replied softly when she heard the old madam's words. The entire Jiang mansion was filled with joy upon learning of Jiang Peihuan's pregnancy. By the time Jiang Peihuan woke up, it was already night. As she opened her eyes, she was somewhat dazed. "Huan you're awake?" The old Madame Jiang had been asked to rest because of her age, but Shui Yan, worried about her daughter, had been keeping vigil in the plum garden. Seeing Jiang Peihuan's eyes flutter open, she immediately approached. Upon seeing Shui Yan sitting by her bed, Jiang Peihuan quickly sat up. "Mother, why are you here? You must be careful now that you are pregnant. No more rash actions." "Child. Mother, what are you saying?" "I'm saying that you're pregnant, Huan You're going to be a mother." Shui Yan's eyes sparkled with happiness. However, hearing these words, Jiang Peihuan was completely stunned. She was pregnant. She was going to be a mother. She lowered her gaze to her still flat belly, reaching out to gently touch it. While there was no visible bump, the realization that a new life was growing inside her felt incredibly surreal. Apart from the joy, there was a hint of complexity in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. This life was different from her previous one. In her past life, by this time, the Jiang family was on the brink of collapse, and she had no chance to get married or have children. But now, she was already expecting her own child. "Huan this is a joyous occasion. You should inform King Cheng," Shui Yan reminded her. "Your father has already gone to the palace to share the good news." Given Xiao Nanya's unique position, he should have been the one to report the happy news in person. But with his absence and Jiang Peihuan's indisposition, Jiang Hong decided to go on their behalf. In the imperial palace, within the Qianqing Hall. "You said what?" Emperor Qi Ming's eyes were wide with surprise, so much so that he accidentally dripped ink onto the paper from his brush. Seeing the emperor's delighted expression, Jiang Hong proudly announced, "My daughter, Huan is pregnant. I'm about to become a grandfather." The emperor's joy was palpable, but when he saw Jiang Hong's smug expression, he suddenly felt a bit uncomfortable. After all, in terms of familial relations, he would only be an imperial uncle to the child, while Jiang Hong would be a grandfather. Yet, thinking of the child was Xiao Nanyes, the emperor's eyes twinkled with happiness again. Turning to Wang Kuan, he ordered, "Go to the storeroom and see if there are any tonics. Let the great general take them later to help Queen Cheng to regain her strength." At that moment, a eunuch announced outside, "Your Majesty, the Empress wishes to see you." "Let the Empress in," the Emperor commanded. Soon after, the Empress entered the Qianqing Hall. As Jiang Hong was about to bow to the Empress, she stopped him. "Great General, no need for formalities. I've heard about Queen Cheng's pregnancy and have prepared some tonics. Please take them with you when you leave the palace," she said. "Thank you, Your Royal Majesty," Jiang Hong replied. The Empress smiled. "You're too polite. King Cheng grew up before our eyes, and we are quite fond of Pei Huan. Now that she's pregnant, she should rest and not move around much. After 3 months, let her come to the palace to chat." Understood. Ever since Jiang Peihuan discovered the poison in the Empress had been extremely fond of her. Hence, upon hearing of her pregnancy, she immediately came over and had many tonics prepared for her. Chapter 312. Grandmother is waiting for your return. Therefore, when Jiang Hong went to the plum garden, he was followed by a pile of tonics. Seeing all the items on the table, Jiang Peihuan was taken aback. She looked at Jiang Hong and couldn't help but ask, "Father, why are there so many tonics?" "They are all gifts from the Emperor and the Empress." "I'm not surprised the Emperor has given gifts since he and King Cheng have always been close. But why does the Empress' gift seem even more generous than the Emperor's?" Jiang Peihuan was aware of the reason, but hearing Jiang Hong's words, she gently replied, "Xiao Nani grew up in the palace, and the Empress took good care of him. One supposes it's out of happiness." Hearing this, Jiang Hong said nothing more. Jiang Hong looked at Jiang Peihuan with a smile. "Huan for now, you should rest at home and stop distributing porridge. Leave such matters to your younger sister. Also remember to send a letter to His Highness." "I know. Father, mother, it's getting late. You both should return to Yinlin and rest. Huan Er, how about I stay with you tonight? Upon hearing Jiang Paihuan's words, Shui Yin softly responded, a worried look in her eyes. However, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but laugh. Mother, haven't you forgotten that one studied medicine? You're still treating me like a child. Rest assured, with you Er and Yi Xiao here, it'll be fine. Hearing this, Shui Yin and Jiang Hong left Plum Garden together. Having slept for a while, Jiang Peihuan wasn't sleepy now. After they left, she turned to Yu Er, who was by her bed. Prepare the ink and brush for me. My queen, are you writing to King Cheng? Jiang Peihuan didn't speak, but nodded with a smile. Everyone was overjoyed at the news of Jiang Peihuan's pregnancy, but some weren't pleased, like Xiao Juanhao. You said Jiang Peihuan is pregnant? Yes, I just got the news. Hearing Xiao Junhao's words, Pei Wu spoke softly. Xiao Junhao's eyes darkened. She's actually pregnant? After saying this, his expression grew complex. Where's the princess consort? She's in the main courtyard. Master, do you want to? Before Pei Wu could finish, Xiao Juanhao took big strides towards the main courtyard. Jiang Yan was reading when she heard that Xiao Juanhao had arrived. She quickly went to greet him. Greetings, Your Highness. Why are you? Before Jiang Yan could finish, Xiao Juanhao suddenly swept her up in his arms. The servants in the room, seeing this, quickly exited. Confused, Jiang Yan was pressed onto the bed. But as she saw Xiao Juanhao lean in, she instinctively wrapped her arms around his neck. Yet soon, Jiang Yan was left stunned. When Xiao Juanhao buried his head in her neck, he softly called out, Huan Er. Even though the words were whispered faintly, Jiang Yan could hear them clearly. Almost immediately, she thought of Jiang Peihuan. The man's actions grew more and more forceful. Yet Jiang Yan did her best to cooperate, enduring the pain. Jiang Peihuan, however, had no idea of what was happening in the Prince Qing mansion. After handing over the letter she had written to Yi Xiao, Jiang Peihuan drifted into a peaceful sleep. In the time that followed, Jiang Peihuan anxiously awaited Xiao Nanyes' reply. However, instead of a letter, she was greeted with news of a plague outbreak in Anzhou. You're saying that there's been a plague outbreak in Anzhou? Facing Yi Xiao, Jiang Peihuan asked with concern evident in her eyes. Yi Xiao's expression was equally grim. She nodded. Yes, the entire Anzhou has been affected. Not only have the common people been infected, but many soldiers have also died or been seriously affected. Where is Xiao Nani now? His Highness is in the army. Upon hearing Yi Xiao's words, Jiang Peihuan swayed slightly. My queen. Seeing Jiang Peihuan's change in complexion, Yi Xiao instinctively moved to support her. However, Jiang Peihuan gripped her arm tightly. Yi Xiao, prepare some medicinal herbs, and make sure to gather a large quantity. We're going to Anzhou. You can't go. One absolutely won't allow you to travel to Anzhou. An hour later, everyone in the general's mansion knew of Jiang Peihuan's intention to head to Anzhou. Jiang Yan was the first to object. Seeing Jiang Peihuan seated, Shui Yan's eyes flared with anger. You've only been pregnant for just over a month. If something happens to you on the journey, what are we to do? Towards the end of her sentence, Shui Yan's eyes were tinged with red. Although Jiang Hong didn't voice any objections, his expression was extremely grave. Yet he turned to Jiang Peihuan, softly speaking. Huan Er, are you sure about this? Although Anzhou is dangerous, with Xiao Nanyes' exceptional intelligence he surely can. Father, my decision to go to Anzhou isn't just for Xiao Nani. Before Jiang Hong could finish, Jiang Peihuan gently interrupted. Facing her parents, she continued. When one was 13, one followed you to the battlefield, witnessing the life and death struggles of war. For soldiers, dying on the battlefield is an understandable fate. But dying from a plague, it's tragically innocent. Now that I've learned medical skills, one can't just stand by. So mother, father, please let me go. Both of you let Huan Er go. At this moment, the old Madame Jiang entered the room, supported by Nanny Su. Mother. Grandmother. Seeing the old madam, everyone bowed. Jiang Peihuan moved to assist her. Old Madame Jiang, looking at Jiang Peihuan, gently patted her hand and said with a smile, On your trip to Anzhou, Make sure to take care of yourself. Especially now, since you're carrying a child. Grandmother, rest assured, one will return safely. You must not forget, in a month, it will be your 50th birthday. One will definitely come to celebrate with you. Hearing this, tears welled up in old Madame Jiang's eyes. Gripping Jiang Paihuan's hand, she said, 111 wait for your return. If you don't come back, one won't be celebrating my 50th birthday. That very night, Jiang Peihuan set off from the Jiang mansion with Yi Xiao. For this trip to Anzhou, she only brought Yi Xiao. She didn't bring any of her siblings, as she was willing to risk her life but not theirs. Master. As Jiang Peihuan was about to board the carriage, she heard a distant voice. My queen, it seems to be Miss Cheng. Chapter 313. Arriving at Anzhou. Master. When Yi Xiao spoke, Chengyang also reached Jiang Peihuan's carriage. Upon hearing the voice, Jiang Peihuan lifted the curtain of the carriage. She immediately saw a sweating Chengyang, who was wearing a white dress, looking very neat and refreshing. Master, you're heading to Anzhou, right? Take me with you. Meeting Jiang Peihuan's gaze, Chengyang spoke without hesitation. No. Seeing the puzzled look on Chengyang's face, Jiang Peihuan spoke calmly. Anzhou is now riddled with the plague. I have important things to handle there, and really can't afford to look after anyone. That's why I can't take you. Master, you don't need to look after me. I can also help save people. Although I've learned medicine for a short time, one have acquired some basic knowledge. I'm sure I can help in Anzhou. Master, please take me with you. If you don't agree, once you leave, I'll go there on my own. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan frowned, a stormy look in her eyes. Are you threatening me? Seeing Jiang Peihuan's displeased face, Chengyang quickly shook her head. No, I'm not threatening you, master. I truly wish to go to Anzhou. One grew up there, it's my home. How can I stand by and watch it be destroyed? As she said the last sentences, her eyes filled with tears, and to this, Jiang Peihuan looked surprised. After a brief silence, Jiang Peihuan asked, if you go to Anzhou, does young Master Rong know? Why should he know about my affairs? Jiang Peihuan turned her gaze to Yi Xiao, whispering, go see young Master Rong and inform him about this. Yes. As Yi Xiao prepared to leave, the sound of hoofbeats echoed. Turning to look, she saw Rong Emo on horseback. She turned around and saw Rong Emo on the horse. Upon seeing him, Chengyang looked slightly startled, but Jiang Peihuan remained calm. Queen Cheng. Arriving beside the carriage, Rong Emo nodded in greeting to Jiang Peihuan. Young Master Rong, Chengyang wants to accompany me to Anzhou. What's your view on this? Even though Rong Emo has always been indifferent to Chengyang, Jiang Peihuan knew he took care of her in his own way. So, she wanted Rong Mo's consent on this matter. Hearing her words, Rong Emo turned to Chengyang. Rong Emo, let me tell you whether you agree or not. Let her go if she wishes. Cheng Yang's words were cut off by Rong Emo continuing. Rong Emo said, I'll accompany the queen to Anzhou. Jiang Peihuan didn't refuse Rong Mo's proposal. Shortly after, Chengyang boarded the carriage, and Rong Emo rode beside them. The group set off at a brisk pace towards Anzhou. Although it would normally take 3 days of non-stop horse riding from the capital to Anzhou, Jiang Peihuan, being pregnant, couldn't travel so hastily, despite her concerns for Anzhou. Therefore, they rested for quite a while along the way. By the time Jiang Peihuan's carriage stopped outside the city of Anzhou, it had already been 5 days. Even before the carriage entered the city, Jiang Peihuan saw bodies everywhere. Seeing this scene, Jiang Peihuan, sitting in the carriage, had an upset look in her eyes. She had mentally prepared herself for what she might see, but witnessing it firsthand, she realized the situation was worse than she had imagined. Stop. Who are you? As the carriage approached the city gate, it was stopped by the guards. Quickly inform King Cheng that the queen has arrived. Jiang Peihuan remained silent, but Yi Xiao spoke coldly to the guards. Hearing this, the guards' eyes widened in surprise. After glancing at the carriage, one of them hurriedly ran inside. Inside the city, in a mansion, a man sitting at the main seat looked displeased. Still no doctors found? Your Highness, the doctors we found are all dead. The remaining ones in the city are too scared to come. Hearing this, Xiao Nanyas' already dark expression deepened. The man hadn't slept for days, evident from the bloodshot eyes. Jiang Changbai, sitting next to him, wanted to console him, but before he could speak, Han Feng rushed in. Master. Xiao Nani, with cold eyes, looked at the hurried Han Feng. Seeing his master's expression, Han Feng lowered his voice but still sounded excited. Master, the queen is here, she. Before he could finish, Xiao Nani had already darted past him. Watching Xiao Nanyas' departing figure, Han Feng was stunned. It took Jiang Changbai a few seconds to react, grabbing Han Feng. Did you just say Huan Er is here? Indeed, the guards mentioned the queen. It could only be her. As Jiang Peihuan sat in her carriage waiting, she suddenly heard the city gates opening. Queen Qingqing is here. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan lifted the curtain of the carriage. She immediately saw Xiao Nani on his horse, their eyes meeting, full of emotion. Huan Er. Seeing Xiao Nani, a smile appeared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. But before she could speak, Xiao Nanyas' expression changed. Why are you in Anzhou? It's dangerous here. Go back to the capital immediately. Then turning to Yi Xiao he ordered, take the queen back. Yi Xiao remained still, looking towards Jiang Peihuan for guidance. Jiang Peihuan frowned and responded, Xiao Nani, I'm not here for you, but for the citizens. I learned medicine to save lives. At this moment, Jiang Peihuan was grateful that she had learned medicine in her previous life to save Xiao Juanhao. Thus in this life she could save even more people. Qingqing, our journey was rough. Let's continue this discussion inside. This was said by Rong Mo. A moment later, they moved towards the city. As Jiang Peihuan entered, she saw Jiang Changbai rushing towards them. Huan Er. Elder brother. The siblings met with smiles in their eyes. Xiao Nani, I'd like to visit the army first. Chapter 3:14. Saving people upon entering the city, Jiang Peihuan noticed that although there were fewer corpses than outside the city, there were still many. She turned to the man beside her and said, we can delay it a bit. Let's go back and rest first. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Xiao Nani frowned and softly replied. However, Jiang Peihuan, without responding verbally, only looked at him calmly. In the end, Xiao Nani gave in and led her directly towards the military camp. At the entrance of the camp, Jiang Peihuan observed that the condition of the soldiers was relatively good. However, after following Xiao Nani to the tents behind, she discovered the situation was dire. Countless soldiers were packed inside the tents, with exhausted military doctors moving amongst them. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan immediately stepped forward, signaling to Yi Xiao and Cheng Yang to help examine the soldiers. Yes. The soldiers were taken aback by the sudden appearance of Jiang Peihuan and her party. However, when they saw Xiao Nani, no one voiced any objections. Jiang Peihuan focused on taking the pulse of the soldiers, but the results made her furrow her brows. For hours later, she finally took a break. Huan Er, rest for a bit, said Xiao Nani, who had been careful not to disturb her while she was working. As soon as she paused, he quickly stepped forward to support her. Xiao Nani, are there any operational pharmacies left in the city? Do you need medicinal herbs? Hearing her question, Xiao Nani instinctively responded. After she nodded, he continued. Tell me what you need, and I'll have Han Feng fetch it. Jiang Peihuan took a pen and paper from Yi Xiao and wrote down a long prescription, handing it to Han Feng. Get as much of the herbs on this list as possible, she instructed. Yes. After Han Feng departed with the prescription, Jiang Peihuan turned to the soldiers in the tent and said, don't crowd so many people in one tent. It will exacerbate the condition. Reduce the number of people in each tent by half, and boil all the soldiers' clothes and equipment in hot water. The soldiers looked baffled upon hearing her instructions. Seeing their reaction, Xiao Nani sternly said, didn't you hear the queen orders? Snapping back to reality, they immediately responded, greetings to Queen Cheng. Now that they knew Jiang Peihuan was Xiao Nanyas' wife, their attitudes changed instantly. Jiang Peihuan, however, didn't mind. Suddenly, a man in armor rushed into the tent shouting, medic, quickly check on old Lu. He can't hold on much longer. Without acknowledging Xiao Nani or noticing Jiang Peihuan, he grabbed the medic. However, as the man tried to leave, Jiang Changbai stopped him. What happened to General Lu? Those damned enemies poisoned him. Old Lu fell into their trap. Xiao Nani, let's go and take a look, Jiang Peihuan suggested, noticing the medic being pulled away hastily by the armored man. Upon entering the camp, Xiao Nani didn't make a sound but just nodded. When they stepped out of the tent, Jiang Peihuan heard yelling. Following the noise, she saw a man on a stretcher with a full beard. It was General Lu. General Wan, let me go first. How can one examine General Lu if you're holding me like this? Said the military doctor. The man who was grabbing the military doctor, General Wan, quickly released him upon hearing this. From Jiang Peihuan's perspective, she noticed the ashen complexion on General Liu's face, a clear indication that he had been poisoned. After checking General Liu's pulse, the military doctor shook his head and said, "It's snake venom, and there's no antidote." "What nonsense are you talking about? Aren't you a military doctor? If you don't treat him, 111 cut you down," threatened General Wan. "Wan dash and stop." Xiao Nani interjected with a cold look when General Wan actually pulled out his blade. It was at that moment that General Wan noticed Xiao Nani. Seeing him, he immediately stopped, his eyes filled with anguish. "Your Highness, how about General Lu?" "Xiao Nani, one can save him," Jiang Peihuan said. "You have a way? Then hurry up and save him." General Wan, desperate and focused only on Jiang Peihuan's words, tried to grab her. However, he was stopped by Jiang Changbai. "Wan, calm down. This is the Queen." "Queen Cheng." Surprised, General Wan looked at Jiang Peihuan in a new light. Jiang Peihuan, unperturbed, calmly approached General Lu. Checking his pulse confirmed the army doctor's diagnosis. It was indeed snake venom. Then Jian Peihuan walked to General Liu's side. She reached out and felt his pulse. Just as the military doctor said, General Lu was indeed poisoned by snake venom. Releasing General Liu's wrist, Jiang Peihuan told Xiao Nani, "I can use silver needles to stimulate his acupoints, gathering all the venom to one location. But someone will have to suck out the venom. Would you?" Before she could finish, General Wan interrupted, "I'll do it. 111 suck out the venom. Just treat General Lu." Jiang Peihuan, familiar with the blunt way military men communicate, said, "Are you sure, General Wan? This venom is potent. Even if you spit it out, it'll still harm you." "It doesn't matter. If it saves General Lu, it's worth it," General Wan replied, cutting her off again. Jiang Peihuan, unoffended, simply nodded and began her treatment. She quickly inserted several silver needles into General Liu's body, concentrating on his wrist. Estimating the timing, she asked Xiao Nani for a dagger. He handed one over, and Jiang Peihuan swiftly cut a small slit on General Liu's wrist. General Wan immediately stepped forward, sucking out the blackened, venom-filled blood from General Liu's wrist. It wasn't until the blood turned a healthy red that Jiang Peihuan stopped him. "That's enough." By then General Wan looked dizzy but anxiously asked, "Queen Cheng, is General Liu safe now?" Chapter 315. Knowing that she was pregnant, rest assured, General Liu's life is no longer in danger. However, if you don't take medicine soon, your life will indeed be at risk. After saying this, Jiang Peihuan turned to Qingyang and said softly, "Give the medicine to General Wan. In the coming days, you will be responsible for his medical care." "Yes." Qingyang had no objections to Jiang Peihuan's arrangement. By the time Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani returned to their mansion, it was already evening. After having a casual dinner, Jiang Peihuan collapsed onto her bed. Having traveled for several days, and after all the events in Anzhou, she was utterly exhausted. Not long after she lay down, Jiang Peihuan felt a cold presence approaching. Opening her eyes, she saw Xiao Nani lying next to her. He reached out, pulled her into his embrace, and then gently kissed her. "Huan air." Xiao Nani had once scoffed at the saying, "A day apart feels like 3 autumns." But now he truly understood its sentiment. His breath was warm, instantly dispelling the initial cold. However, upon seeing the intense heat in his eyes, Jiang Peihuan immediately gripped his hand. Xiao Nani, did you? Seeing her sudden action, confusion flickered in Xiao Nani's eyes. She whispered, "Didn't you receive the letter I sent you?" "What letter? You wrote to me?" From his response, Jiang Peihuan knew he hadn't received it. After a moment she said softly, "Xiao Nani, I'm pregnant." Her words were quiet, but they rang clearly in Xiao Nani's ears. He was stunned. "Huan what did you say?" She repeated, "I said impregna." Before she could finish, he embraced her tightly. Holding her, Xiao Nani felt the warmth of her fingertips and whispered, "Huan this isn't a dream, right? You're really here." Jiang Peihuan felt like the man beside her was trembling. Suddenly, Xiao Nani released her, carefully touching her belly. Did I hurt the baby by holding you?" His concern was evident. She smiled and shook her head. "No. But you can't." Her voice trailed off shyly towards the end. Xiao Nani paused for a moment, then earnestly said, "Don't worry. Until the child is born, I won't touch you again." Still, when they slept, he carefully held her in his arms. In Xiao Nani's embrace, lulled by his unique scent, Jiang Peihuan soon fell asleep. But for Xiao Nani, the excitement kept him awake all night. The next day, when Jiang Changbai tried to visit Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani stopped him at the door. "King Cheng, did you go another night without sleep?" Noticing the bloodshot eyes of Xiao Nani, Jiang Changbai couldn't help but comment. Hearing his words, Xiao Nani nodded. Upon seeing him nod, Jiang Shangbai's eyes were full of confusion. When he noticed Xiao Nani occasionally breaking into smiles, his bewilderment deepened. "King Cheng, could it be that you have lost your mind?" "Elder brother, Huan is pregnant. Am about to become a father. Am going to have a child soon." "Did you just said Huan is pregnant?" Hearing Xiao Nani's words, Jiang Changbai, so startled he momentarily forgot the formal way of addressing Xiao Nani, grabbed his hand. Seeing his nod, Jiang Shangbai's eyes were filled with excitement. By the time Han Feng returned, he found his master and Jiang Changbai laughing like fools. Upon witnessing this scene, Han Feng was stunned. "What are you standing here for?" Yi Xiao, coming over, saw the dumbstruck Han Feng. "Yi Xiao, look at our master and the young general. Have they taken the wrong medicine?" Following Han Feng's gaze, Yi Xiao took one look at the two and immediately understood. Facing Han Feng, Yi Xiao said plainly, "The queen is pregnant." Having said this, she headed to the room. Seeing Yi Xiao, Xiao Nani stopped her immediately. "Don't disturb Huan Let her continue sleeping." "Your Highness, the queen instructed me earlier that she needs medicine today." Although Yi Xiao used to be Xiao Nani's secret guard, since he sent her to serve Jiang Peihuan, her loyalty has been solely to Jiang Peihuan. While Xiao Nani and Yi Xiao were talking, Jiang Peihuan inside had already awakened. "Yi Xiao." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Yi Xiao instinctively wanted to enter, but someone was faster. Inside, as Jiang Peihuan was about to get up, a hand held her steady. "Huan be careful." Seeing Xiao Nani being overly cautious, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but chuckle. "Xiao Nani, you don't have to be this careful. I know you're pregnant now, you must be cautious everywhere." Before Jiang Peihuan could finish, Xiao Nani gently interrupted her. Subsequently, he carefully helped Jiang Peihuan up. Just as she was about to bend down to put on her shoes, she saw him already kneeling in front of her. "Xiao Nani." Seeing him pick up the embroidered shoes, Jiang Peihuan quickly spoke up. In her heart, Jiang Peihuan was rather traditional. Who was Xiao Nani? He was the imperial uncle, revered by everyone. How could she let such a man kneel before her to put on her shoes? However, he already held her ankle. Carefully placing the blue embroidered shoes on her feet, he then helped her up. At the entrance, Jiang Changbai, Yi Xiao, and Han Feng were all stunned. Finally, it was only when Jiang Peihuan saw Xiao Nani pick up her clothes. She hurriedly said to Yi Xiao at the door, "Yi Xiao, come and help me dress." Yes. Although Xiao Nani wanted to help Jiang Peihuan dress, her attire was quite intricate, and he wasn't quite familiar with it. However, as Yi Xiao was dressing Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani was closely watching. When Jiang Peihuan sat in front of the dressing table, she could see from the mirror that his gaze was constantly on her. Chapter 316. It must be a daughter. Upon seeing Yi Xiao picking up the wooden comb, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "No need to comb a bun, just tie up my hair simply." "Yes." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Yi Xiao tied up her long hair, and finally inserted a wooden hairpin. This hairpin was a gift from Xiao Nani to Jiang Peihuan when they were in the capital. As Jiang Peihuan stood up, Xiao Nani immediately approached and took her hand. This act not only left Jiang Peihuan speechless, but Yi Xiao, upon seeing this, was also stunned. If not for his unchanged face, Yi Xiao would have doubted whether this was the real King Cheng. While Jiang Peihuan was getting ready, Jiang Changbai was waiting outside the courtyard. Upon hearing a noise, he immediately turned around. However, the scene before him left him speechless. Xiao Nani had one arm around Jiang Peihuan's waist and held her hand with the other, treating her as if she was some fragile object. Jiang Peihuan looked helpless. No matter what she said, Xiao Nani would agree, but still insisted on his own way. "Your Highness, Huan Er is just pregnant, she's not disabled. You don't have to be so cautious." "How can I not be careful? The child Huan Er carries is my daughter." Hearing Xiao Nani's words, Jiang Changbai was left speechless. At this moment, Han Feng couldn't help but ask, "Master, how do you know that the child in the queen's womb is a princess?" At this, Jiang Peihuan was also curious. So upon hearing Han Feng's words, she turned her gaze to Xiao Nani. Meeting their gazes, Xiao Nani casually said, "Because one like daughters, so the child in Peihuan's womb must be a daughter." Han Feng was speechless. Jiang Changbai was speechless. Jiang Peihuan was speechless. After a few seconds of silence, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but ask, "Xiao Nani, what if the child is a boy?" She was just asking out of curiosity, since the gender is a gift from heaven, and not something they could decide. But upon hearing her question, Xiao Nani seemed lost in thought. After a while he whispered, "If it really is a son, then we'll have another." "What if it's another boy?" "All right," Jiang Peihuan admitted she was being pedantic. Yet hearing this, Xiao Nani was calm. He looked at Jiang Peihuan and suddenly smiled. "If so, then we won't have any more." Meeting Jiang Peihuan's puzzled expression, he softly added, "Then our son and I will protect you." Hearing his words, a gentle smile appeared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. However, this harmony was quickly interrupted by the loud voice of Wan Dashan. "Queen Cheng, Queen." Soon, Jiang Peihuan saw Wan Dashan approaching. Seeing his robust appearance, she was somewhat surprised. Under normal circumstances, Wan Dashan would need at least 3 days to recover. It had only been a day, and Wan Dashan seemed completely fine. "General Wan?" "Greetings, Queen Cheng." "Your Highness, you're here too?" Approaching Jiang Peihuan, Wan Dashan saluted her, and after greeting her, he then noticed Xiao Nani. Hearing his words, Xiao Nani responded with a smirk. "It's rare for you to notice me in your sight." "What are you talking about, Your Highness? My eyes are perfectly fine. How could I not see you?" Xiao Nani was speechless. Jiang Peihuan, who was standing nearby, couldn't help but smile at these words. As Xiao Nani's expression grew increasingly stern, she quickly turned to Wan Dashan and said, "General Wan, you came looking for me. Is there something you need?" "Yes, Queen. Aren't you skilled in medicine? Today, I plan to head out of the city once again. I'm determined to slaughter those scoundrels. But I'm afraid they might poison me again, so I want you to accompany me." "No." Before Jiang Peihuan could reply, Xiao Nani coldly interjected. Without waiting for Wan Dashan's response, he declared, "The queen is pregnant. She cannot endure such rough conditions. Furthermore, the queen came to Anzhou to treat the city's inhabitants. Would you not have gone to battle today if the queen hadn't been here?" Stunned by Xiao Nani's words, Wan Dashan was at a loss for words. At this moment, Cheng Yang rushed over exclaiming, "Master, it's bad news. The soldiers have started vomiting." Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan quickly followed Cheng Yang to the tent. Xiao Nani went after them. Upon arriving at the camp, Jiang Peihuan found that the soldiers' conditions had worsened compared to the previous day. She immediately asked Han Feng, "Did you purchase all the herbs listed in the prescription I gave you last night?" "Yes, everything was purchased." "Chengyang Yishao prepare the medicine?" "Yes." While they prepared the medicine, Jiang Peihuan turned to Xiao Nani. "Do you know where this plague originated?" "In the city." Hearing Xiao Nani's reply, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "To eradicate this plague, we must first identify its source. I'll have someone investigate." After speaking, Xiao Nani looked at Han Feng. Han Feng immediately responded, "I'll look into it right away." An hour later, after the medicine was prepared, Jiang Peihuan, along with Yi Xiao and Cheng Yang, distributed it to the infected soldiers. For many, their vomiting subsided after consumption, but for others, especially those in more serious conditions, the effects were not evident. For this group, Jiang Peihuan meticulously treated them and prescribed new remedies. Jiang Peihuan ended up spending the entire day in the camp. The food she ate was delivered by Jiang Changbao. Everyone was understanding of her dietary needs since she was pregnant. However, when Jiang Peihuan saw the chicken soup that Jiang Changbao had prepared, she softly remarked, "Elder brother, given the current situation, there's no need to prepare special meals for me. You're pregnant now. Even if you don't want to eat, the child in your womb needs nourishment." Hearing her words, Jiang Changbai, for once, declined her request. Just as Jiang Peihuan was about to speak, Han Feng, who had been absent the entire day, appeared alongside Xiao Nani. "Do you have any news?" Seeing them, Jiang Peihuan asked quietly. Without speaking, Xiao Nani simply nodded. Shortly after, Jiang Peihuan accompanied Xiao Nani to a house in the city. As they opened the door, she frowned. Chapter 317. Gifts. In the courtyard lay several coffins, with only a thin old man sitting. "The plague was first discovered here," said Xiao Nani. Upon hearing this, Jiang Peihuan slowly walked into the courtyard. As she approached the old man, Jiang Peihuan abruptly stopped, warning, "Don't come over." Hearing her voice, everyone halted. Jiang Peihuan quickly covered her face with her badge. She looked at Xiao Nani and the others, whispering, "Cover your faces. The clothes he's wearing are the source of the infection." A grim expression flashed across Xiao Nani's face upon hearing this. The old man, however, looked surprised after hearing Jiang Peihuan's words. Although he quickly tried to mask it, he still asked, feigning ignorance, "What do you mean by that?" Jiang Peihuan didn't respond to his question but pressed on, "Where did you get the clothes you're wearing?" The old man's eyes darted. Though he tried to maintain a calm facade, Jiang Peihuan, who was watching him closely, caught the flicker of unease. However, the old man defiantly replied, "These clothes are naturally mine." "One." "Nonsense." Interrupting him sharply, Jiang Peihuan coldly challenged, "Your family, though not starving, is still just an ordinary one. Yet the clothes you're wearing are clearly made of fine cotton. Even in the capital, ordinary people can't afford such fabric. You claim these are your clothes. So who made them for you? If you bought them, where did you buy them?" With every word that Jiang Peihuan said, the old man's expression became more flustered. Suddenly, in a desperate move, the old man lunged at Jiang Peihuan. Xiao Nani, always by her side, swiftly raised his leg and kicked him, sending him sprawling to the ground. A token fell from the old man's pocket. As he instinctively tried to retrieve it, Han Feng grabbed it first. "Master, look at this," Han Feng whispered, presenting the token to Xiao Nani. Upon examining the token, Xiao Nani's aura immediately turned ice cold. Jiang Peihuan, standing close to him, sensed the change in his demeanor. "What's wrong?" she softly inquired. Lowering his voice, Xiao Nani murmured, "This token belongs to the Xinaying Palace." Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan's face paled. So this plague was aimed at me. How could she? How can she play with the lives of the city's citizens like this? Anger flared in Jiang Peihuan's eyes, but considering the person's status, she restrained herself. However, Xiao Nani had no such reservations. Gazing at Jiang Peihuan, he coldly stated, "In her heart, as long as she achieves her goals, the lives of others mean nothing." When he said the last sentence, Xiao Nanya's entire body was filled with a gloomy aura. Seeing him like this, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but feel a pang of sympathy. Having grown up in the imperial palace, Xiao Nani had faced many dangers from a young age. Now at least he had the ability to protect himself. But Jiang Peihuan shuddered to think of what he might have faced as a child, defenseless. She could hardly fathom the hardships had endured to survive until now. Softly holding his hand, she whispered, "Don't worry, Anzhou will be safe." Hearing her words, Xiao Nani simply nodded. Seeing Jiang Peihuan's face still covered by the handkerchief, he quietly suggested, "We shouldn't linger here. Let's go." "All right. Master, how should we deal with this man?" "Kill him," came the cold reply from Xiao Nani as Han Feng glanced at the old man lying on the ground. After Jiang Peihuan left, a muffled sound echoed behind her. She didn't utter a word. While the great Empress Dowager was cruel, this old man was no saint either. "Master, are we just going to let this matter go?" Walking back, Han Feng couldn't resist asking Xiao Nani. Holding Jiang Peihuan's hand, Xiao Nani coldly responded, "If she thinks she can threaten me, she will regret it. Send a message to the capital. Let our people handle it, starting by cutting off both of his hands. Yes. After that, send the gift to the Xinang Palace. Yes." Han Feng, the chief of Xiao Nanya's secret guards, carried out his master's orders without emotion. However, seeing this side of Xiao Nani surprised Jiang Peihuan. Having spent some time with him, she had almost forgotten this man by her side was the ruthlessly decisive King Cheng. In the capital, within the palace's Xinang Palace, the great Empress Dowager put down her prayer beads. After rising with the assistance of a maid, she inquired, "Has there been news from Anzhou?" Hearing her words, the old nanny glanced at another palace maid. Once she had left, she reported, "The plague is rampant in Anzhou, but what? The Queen Cheng has gone to Anzhou. Humph, she's really on the same side as King Cheng." However, before the great Empress Dowager could finish her thoughts, an old eunuch walked in holding a box. "Your Royal Majesty, someone sent this box." "What's inside?" For some reason, seeing the box gave the great Empress Dowager a sense of foreboding. The old nanny immediately thought of the previous incident involving Snowball. "Open it." Despite her fear, the great Empress Dowager commanded coldly. Hearing the great Empress Dowager's voice, the old eunuch opened the box in his hand. However, when he saw what was inside, his hand trembled and he threw the box away. What is this?" The old nanny, staring at a pair of severed hands on the ground, was at a loss for words. But soon the old nanny's expression changed. "Your Royal Majesty, it's young master." "It seems to be young master's hand." "What did you say?" Hearing the maid's words, the Empress Dowager rose shakily from her chair and staggered forward. As she beheld the bloody hands on the ground, her vision darkened and she fainted. "Your Royal Majesty." Seeing her collapse, panic and horror filled the old nanny's eyes. Chapter 318. Going outside the city, Jiang Peihuan was completely unaware of the events transpiring within the palace. Due to her arrival, the epidemic in the military camp was effectively controlled. She instructed the soldiers to be treated based on the severity of their symptoms. Those with mild symptoms, after undergoing treatment, were essentially cured. With this progress, Jiang Peihuan proposed going outside the city. "Huan, why do you want to leave the city?" Jiang Changbai couldn't hold back his question upon hearing his sister's intention. Even before Xiao Nani could respond, knowing of her pregnancy, Jiang Changbai had hoped that she would return to the capital to recuperate. But he knew her temperament too well, and understood that she would not be easily dissuaded. Hence, he had been by her side these days, ensuring she did not overexert herself. Hearing her mention of venturing outside the city, his eyes reflected clear disapproval. "Elder brother, the soldiers in the camp have been well treated, and soon all will be healed. The city's residents can gradually seek medical treatment, but the people outside the city have no such options. Hasn't it been said that rebels have risen in various places in Anzhou? In these times, who can the people outside the city rely on?" By going outside, I can at least provide them a glimmer of hope, saving whoever I can. Otherwise, even if we heal everyone inside, the infection might still spread. I'll go with you, Xiao Nani whispered. He wanted to protect Jiang Peihuan from harm, but as a military commander, he also had to consider the well-being of all the people. Unable to stop her, the best he could do was to accompany and protect her. But when he offered, Jiang Peihuan refused. No, you can't go. Seeing his puzzled expression, she explained. You are the commander, and unless there's a special situation, you cannot leave the camp. In the end, Jiang Peihuan set out for the outskirts of the city, accompanied by Han Feng. Watching them depart with evident concern, Han Feng whispered to Xiao Nani, Master, rest assured. I will ensure the queen's safety. If anything happens to her, don't bother returning, he responded coldly. Yes. Upon leaving the city, Jiang Peihuan directed Han Feng to head west, where most of the populace resided. Just outside the city gates, she saw several emaciated figures. The sight filled her eyes with complexity. In her reincarnated life, she initially only wanted revenge and to protect her family. However, over time, her aspirations grew. If possible, she wished to do her best to safeguard even more people. After all, the people of Qi Kingdom were the very ones her parents were willing to give their lives for. My queen, someone's approaching. As their carriage approached a narrow path, Han Feng whispered. Jiang Peihuan responded faintly, then reached for the whip at her waist. Who is it? Accompanying Han Feng's voice was the clashing sound of blades. Hearing it, Jiang Peihuan immediately pulled back the curtain. The men Han Feng had brought were skilled fighters, and they showed no signs of panic upon confronting the approaching figures. But soon, Han Feng realized something was wrong. Many people were approaching, and they weren't from just one group but several gangs of bandits from nearby mountains. When he recognized this, Han Feng immediately warned Jiang Peihuan. Queen Cheng, these men seem to have come prepared for. Watch out. Before he could finish, a shadow lunged directly at Jiang Peihuan. She saw the approaching figure and promptly lashed out with her whip, stopping the assailant a meter away. That's a pretty good whip, a voice remarked, startling Jiang Peihuan. The voice clearly belonged to a child, yet the man before her was middle-aged. However, you're no match for me, the childlike voice continued. The man then lunged at Jiang Peihuan with a dagger in hand. During their confrontation, Jiang Peihuan quickly realized that she was outclassed by the man's bizarre and superior martial skills. The strange man looked amused. Young lady, you're quite skilled. Too bad you've met me today, he added, as his dagger aimed for Jiang Peihuan's belly. Jiang Peihuan could have countered, but she wouldn't risk the child in her womb, so she sidestepped. The dagger then landed at her neck. Stop or I'll kill her. Queen Cheng. Han Feng, amidst fighting others, caught sight of this and exclaimed. Without hesitation he ordered, everyone stop. Both Jiang Peihuan and Han Feng were soon bound and immobilized, not only physically but also through pressure point techniques, rendering them as vulnerable as ordinary people. An hour later, they were removed from the carriage and locked in an underground cell. When they arrived, Jiang Peihuan was blindfolded, so she wasn't sure of their exact location, but she had her suspicions. Once they were locked in the cell, her blindfold was removed, revealing the bizarre man. You aren't a local bandit, are you? Jiang Peihuan asked, her tone more assertive than inquisitive. When the man heard Jiang Peihuan's words, he was stunned and then laughed softly. Does that matter? Of course it does. I need to know why you've captured me. It's simple. I captured you to kill you. But I won't just kill you directly. I intend to torture you first. Do you realize she is the queen of the Cheng mansion? If you harm her, our master will ensure you won't have a burial place, Han Feng said menacingly. He was almost in despair, having just been entrusted by his master to protect Jiang Peihuan, and now facing this predicament. The bizarre man, however, laughed off Han Feng's threat. Young man, I know who your master is. Xiao Nani is formidable, but am not afraid of him. Sir, I must admit your skills are admirable. However, there's one thing I don't understand. If you already know who I am, why bring trouble upon yourself? Chapter 319, Captured. Even if you aren't afraid of Xiao Nani, killing me would bring unnecessary trouble to you, wouldn't it? Why would you do this? Enough. The man interrupted Jiang Peihuan and coldly said, if there's anyone to blame, blame yourself for offending someone you shouldn't have. Enjoy the little time you have left. With that, the man left. Jiang Peihuan was left with a look of confusion. Who had she offended? She could only think of a few people she might have wronged. In the capital. In the Prince Qing mansion. Miss, a letter for you. Standing by the window, Lin Mingyao turned around upon hearing her maid's voice. She took the letter and quickly read through it. Her eyes lit up with excitement. After reading, Lin Mingyao burned the letter. Without Jiang Peihuan, everything she lost would be returned to her. Your Highness. As she was lost in her thoughts, she heard the maid announce a visitor. Lin Mingyao quickly composed herself and greeted the approaching figure. Greetings, Your Highness. Rise. What are you burning? Upon entering, Xiao Juanhao noticed the smell of burning paper. He saw the ashes on the floor. It was just a poem one had written. One didn't like it, so one burned it. Xiao Juanhao gave a slight nod and didn't press further. He reached out, and Lin Mingyao obediently placed her hand in his. But she didn't feel the warmth she once did. I heard that the main princess consort has been giving you trouble recently. Lin Mingyao's eyes flashed when she heard Xiao Junhao's words. Then she laughed softly. Your Highness must be joking. Why would the main princess consort cause trouble for me? As long as you're not troubled, that's good. Seeing her smile, Xiao Juanhao whispered. But beneath that smile, Lin Mingyao's heart turned cold. This was the Prince Qing mansion. Lin Mingyao didn't believe that Xiao Juanhao wasn't aware of what Jiang Yan had done to her. However, he chose not to act. Lin Mingyao looked at the man beside her. She always believed he was different and genuinely loved her. But now she doubted those feelings. Does he truly love her? Yao Heir, right now one need the main princess consort's assistance. Some things may inconvenience you. But rest assured, when I ascend to power one day, everything that belongs to you, 111 ensure it's returned. I understand, Your Highness. Lin Mingyao responded, feigning gratitude. Her eyes filled with appreciation. Seeing her expression, Xiao Junhao's eyes softened. Holding Lin Mingyao's hand gently, he spoke. One came today because there's a matter I want to discuss with you. If Your Highness needs Yao Heir to do anything, just give the word. I want you to return to the Lin mansion. Meeting Lin Mingyao's puzzled gaze, Xiao Juanhao continued. Even if you and Lin Xingchen aren't close, you are still family. Mingyao, Lin Xingchen is currently trusted deeply by the emperor. One hope you can find a way to bring him to our side. Your Highness, I understand. One will find a way. Yao Heir, thank you for your effort. Serving Your Highness is my duty. Lin Mingyao replied, smiling at the ashes on the floor. Lin Mingyao said with a smile as she looked at the ashes on the ground. In Anzhou, the basement. If Jiang Peihuan was previously unsure of what the man meant, the rising water in the dungeon made it clear. Han Feng's eyes were filled with panic at the sight. He could endure any form of torture, but he was deeply worried about the child inside Jiang Peihuan's belly. The child in her belly was less than 3 months old. If it was soaked in water for a long time, something would definitely happen to the child. At this moment, Han Feng had already untied the rope on his hand. He approached Jiang Peihuan. My queen, let me untie you. After helping Jiang Peihuan untie the rope, Han Feng wanted to push the door in front of him. However, no matter how hard he tried, the wooden door did not budge. However, the water level in the basement kept rising, and soon, it reached knee level. Han Feng, stop wasting your energy. We can't open that door, Jiang Peihuan whispered. But what should we do? If this continues, the child inside you will be in danger. Stay calm. Jiang Peihuan tried to remain composed. At this juncture, Han Feng suddenly suggested, my queen, please sit on my shoulders. At this moment, the water level had already reached his waist. Seeing her hesitation, Han Feng quickly added, for the sake of the little one inside you, one believe the master will come to our aid soon. It was the only option left. Jiang Peihuan then climbed onto Han Feng's shoulders. Han Feng stood in a corner of the room, providing him with a point of support. With Jiang Peihuan leaning against the wall, both were relatively more comfortable. 2 hours later, the water had risen to Ian Feng's chest. From the doorway, they then heard the voice of a child. "You seem quite loyal to Xiao Nani." When the strange man saw this scene, displayed a hint of surprise in his eyes. However, this was quickly followed by a mocking laughter. Han Feng remained silent. His acupoints had been sealed, leaving him almost devoid of strength. While Jiang Peihuan wasn't heavy, maintaining the same posture for such an extended period had taken its toll on Han Feng. Upon hearing the man's words, Jiang Peihuan suddenly laughed. "Sir, have you ever considered that you might be used by someone? While I may not know who I've offended, they approached you to kill me. They never considered the trouble it might cause you. Would you still risk your life for them? Young lady, you're quite sharp-tongued for your age." The man, who previously wore a smile, turned somber after hearing Jiang Peihuan's words. His gaze was as cold as a venomous snake. Upon seeing a part of a handkerchief peeking out from his chest, Jiang Peihuan continued, "If I'm not mistaken, the person might be a woman you're fond of, right? My junior sister said you were very clever. I didn't believe her before, but now I do." Chapter 320. Xiao Nani came, so you're implying that the one who sent you to kill me was your junior sister. Upon hearing the man's words, Jiang Peihuan calmly responded. Jiang Peihuan's assertion darkened the strange man's already sullen face even further, making his appearance all the more terrifying. Looking at Jiang Peihuan, he coldly said, "You indeed are clever, but this intelligence will be your end." After saying that, the man took out the key and opened the door to the basement. Without caring about his clothes, he directly walked into the water. The man ignored his clothes and walked into the water. Since Jiang Peihuan was sitting on Han Feng's shoulders, the man had to look up to face her. Meeting Jiang Peihuan's gaze, the man's eyes showed a mixture of emotions. "In your next life, remember not to be too smart." Finishing his words, he drew his dagger. Before Jiang Peihuan could react, Han Feng, with fury in his eyes, said, "How dare you try to hurt the queen? And you will surely meet a gruesome end." Hearing Han Feng's words, the man laughed out loud as if he had heard a good joke. Although there was a smile on the man's face, there was no smile in his eyes. If one looked carefully, there was only endless mockery and disdain. "In that case, I'll kill you first." As soon as he finished speaking, the dagger in the man's hand stabbed straight into Han Feng's heart. However, just as he took a step forward, his wrist went limp, and the dagger in his hand fell out. The man quickly held onto the wall at the side. If he had not reacted quickly, he would have fallen into the water. The man tried to muster his energy and send out a palm wind, but he was powerless. His eyes filled with shock, he stared at Jiang Peihuan. "It was you." "No, I've already sealed your acupuncture points." You sealed my acupoints so that I can't use my martial arts, but you can't stop me from using poison." "Poison?" Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, the surprise in the man's eyes deepened. Facing his astonishment, Jiang Peihuan calmly stated, "Didn't your junior sister tell you? I'm a physician well-versed in medical arts and adept at using poison." Jiang Peihuan interrupted the man's words and said lightly. The man didn't say anything else. Instead, he closed his eyes. A moment ago, a strange scene had appeared before his eyes. The man's figure suddenly changed. The clothes on his body kept shrinking. Soon, the man in front of him turned into a child. No, to be precise, it was a body with a child's body but an adult's face. Witnessing this scene, Jiang Peihuan's eyes were full of surprise. Han Feng whispered, "My queen, it's the bone shrinking technique." Such a technique actually exists in this world. In her previous life, Jiang Peihuan had heard about a martial skill on the martial arts world stage that allowed individuals to change their body size at will, known as the bone shrinking technique. Jiang Peihuan had always considered it a mere legend, not realizing its actual existence. "Hehe. You thought poisoning me would leave me helpless against you?" The man, no, the child now, glared malevolently at Jiang Peihuan, sneering. As his voice trailed off, he charged directly at Han Feng and Jiang Peihuan. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan immediately drew the whip from her waist. Even though her martial strength was temporarily hindered, her hand skills remained. Jiang Peihuan was fast, but the man was faster. He grabbed the whip Jiang Peihuan lashed out, and yanked it forcefully. She was pulled off Han Feng's shoulders. Queen Cheng. Witnessing this, Han Feng immediately reached out. However, the man scoffed and blocked Han Feng. As she was falling, Jiang Peihuan instinctively held her belly, her back facing the ground. However, she felt herself being caught by someone's embrace. Soon after, Han Feng's excited voice reached her ears. "Master?" Hearing this voice, Jiang Peihuan immediately opened her eyes. The one holding her was none other than Xiao Nani. Xiao Nani's men had their unique ways of communication, so upon receiving the message, Xiao Nani hurried over without delay. Recalling what he had just witnessed, Xiao Nani's eyes filled with fury. As he held Jiang Peihuan, the man applied force to his wrist, throwing her onto his back. Lying on Xiao Nani's back, Jiang Peihuan instinctively held his neck. Xiao Nani, supporting Jiang Peihuan with one hand and drawing his long sword with the other, pointed it at the man before him. "Even if you're the leader of Qianji Pavilion, you wouldn't dare to act so boldly in front of me. Just learning the basics of the bone shrinking technique, and you dared to harm my people? You're seeking death." As his voice trailed off, the long sword in Xiao Nani's hand immediately aimed for the man's heart. The man, now in the form of a child, moved with exceptional agility, effortlessly dodging Xiao Nani's sword. But Xiao Nani's moves grew faster and fiercer. Jiang Peihuan soon heard the man's screams of agony. "Is everyone from the Qianji Pavilion as weak as you?" With one hand supporting Jiang Peihuan, and the other wielding the sword, Xiao Nani cut off the man's hand. The man, splashed in the water, stared at his severed wrist, eyes filled with terror and malice. After his hand was severed, the man's form changed again. Jiang Peihuan watched as he transformed back into his adult form. The prerequisite of the bone shrinking technique is an intact skeletal structure and limbs. Now you can't use the bone shrinking technique ever again. Saying this, Xiao Nani raised his sword again. Seeing the sword aimed for the man's neck, Jiang Peihuan gently tapped on the man's shoulder. "Wait." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, even though the sword was close to the man's neck, Xiao Nani adjusted his aim, piercing the man's shoulder instead. Xiao Nani let him go. Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan, Xiao Nani looked puzzled. But moments later, he sheathed his sword. Carrying Jiang Peihuan on his back, he walked out without glancing back at the man. Seeing this, Han Feng hastily followed. "Master, this subordinate deserves to die." As soon as they left the basement, Han Feng knelt before Xiao Nani. Xiao Nani, looking at the kneeling figure, had a gloomy expression in his eyes. "Xiao Nani, this wasn't Han Feng's fault. He was captured because he was concerned for my safety." After leaving the basement, Jiang Peihuan wanted to walk by herself, but Xiao Nani still carried her. Thus she remained on Xiao Nani's back. Chapter 321. Accompanying hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, a hint of the coldness in Xiao Nani's eyes faded. Looking at Han Feng kneeling on the ground, Xiao Nani said softly, "Stand up. Considering that Huan Er pleaded for you, I'll overlook this matter. However, if it happens again, go back and train yourself anew." "Yes." Hearing Xiao Nani's words, Han Feng couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Yet, Han Feng shuddered upon hearing Xiao Nani's subsequent warning. "Xiao Nani, aren't you curious why one spared that man?" After boarding the carriage, it was only then that Xiao Nani let go of Jiang Peihuan. Looking at the man beside her, Jiang Peihuan asked with a puzzled expression. She initially thought Xiao Nani would question her about it. However, from the time they left the basement until now, he hadn't uttered a word. At this moment, hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Xiao Nani finally spoke. "You want to know who's behind all this? I've already sent someone to keep an eye on him." After saying this, Xiao Nani remained silent. Jiang Peihuan couldn't shake the feeling that he was upset. Even though Xiao Nani's tone was gentle, she could sense something was off. Her suspicion was confirmed by his continued silence. Looking at the man beside her, Jiang Peihuan probed. Xiaonani, are you mad? If Jiang Peihuan hadn't spoken, it would have been all right. But once she did, the man beside her looked at her with eyes full of anger. Do you think the lives of the common people are so important? More important than your own safety? Hearing Xiaonani's words, Jiang Peihuan was taken aback. After a moment of silence, she said softly, both my father and mother, even my elder brother, and even myself, have all been to the battlefield for the people of Qi Kingdom. It's not that I value the lives of the people more than my own, but I wish to help as many as I can. Her voice was soft but firm. For some reason, hearing her words, the anger in Xiaonani's eyes seemed to dissipate. Xiaonani, I promise you, I'll take care of myself in the future. After a pause, Jiang Peihuan turned to face the man beside her and said softly. As he sat by the window, Jiang Peihuan realized something. Whenever she was in Xiaonani's carriage, he always let her sit in the primary seat. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Xiaonani suddenly reached out and held her. Resting his chin gently on her shoulder, he whispered, It's all right, 111 protect you. So, can I go outside the city now? Facing his displeased look, Jiang Peihuan said softly, We cannot delay addressing the plague. With each passing day, countless more will be infected. In the end, Xiaonani allowed Jiang Peihuan to go to the place she intended to visit, but this time, he chose to accompany her. While on the carriage, Jiang Peihuan was considerate of Xiaonani's feelings. But once they stepped out, hearing the cries of sorrow all around, she couldn't hold back. This was the residential area of Anzhou, where most of the people outside the city lived. When Jiang Peihuan arrived, she saw many lying on the ground, their faces pale. Witnessing this, Jiang Peihuan took out her handkerchief, tying it over her face. Then she turned to Hanfeng. Prepare the medicinal herbs. One will check their pulses. Yes. Is there anyone among you skilled in medicine? The sudden appearance of Jiang Peihuan and Xiaonani made these people show some hope. At this moment, when they heard Jiang Peihuan's words, a few of them stood up. Do you know how to take a pulse? Seeing the few nod their heads, Jiang Peihuan continued. Join me and diagnose everyone present. Based on the diagnoses, categorize the patients. Those with milder symptoms will assist the more severely ill. Medicine will be distributed soon, and everyone must take it. Who are you? Some people were emotional upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's directives, yet there were also wary looks among the crowd. At this moment, Hanfeng stepped forward and declared, This is our Queen Cheng. This king is here on royal orders. Follow the queen's instructions or face death. With Xiaonani's stern warning, no one voiced any objections. Soon enough, the medicinal soup was distributed to all. After ensuring that the situation was under control in this area, Jiang Peihuan moved on to another location. On the third day, instead of seeing the commoners, Jiang Peihuan noticed Wan Dashan hurriedly departing. Wan Dashan also noticed Jiang Peihuan and Xiaonani. Upon seeing them, he quickly bowed and then eagerly said to Jiang Peihuan, Queen Cheng, I've heard you've managed to control the disease in Anzhou over the past few days. I wonder, could you help me with something? While speaking, Wan Dashan cautiously glanced at Xiaonani. Seeing no objection from him, Wan Dashan quickly approached Jiang Peihuan. Queen Cheng, let me tell you, those bastards don't dare to face me head-on. They resort to despicable tricks and… Why are you so close? Just speak. Wan Dashan hadn't finished speaking when he was interrupted by Xiaonani's cold voice. Hearing this, Wan Dashan quickly retreated a couple of steps and looked expectantly at Jiang Peihuan. Seeing this, a smile formed in Jiang Peihuan's eyes. After thinking for a moment, she told Wan Dashan, In that case, I'll accompany General Wan on this trip. That's great. An hour later, Jiang Peihuan and Xiaonani stopped at the mountain. Queen Cheng, this is the place. It's quite odd. Anyone who enters this mountain fainted. Jiang Peihuan walked forward without replying. She noticed a faint fragrance in the air and saw some small white flowers on the mountain. The scent originated from these flowers. General Wan, the oddity isn't the mountain but these little white flowers. Those tiny flowers. Following Jiang Peihuan's gaze, Wan Dashan also saw the flowers, looking puzzled. These flowers are poisonous. Their fragrance not only makes one feel dizzy, but can also cause one to faint. So to enter this mountain we need to uproot all these little white flowers. Thinking of this, Wan Dashan looked troubled. Jiang Peihuan, upon hearing this, simply smiled and shook her head. Of course not. Chapter 322. The person behind the scenes, then how do we get in? Jiang Peihuan did not speak, but glanced at the grass leaf next to the little white flower. Looking at Xiao Nani, Jiang Peihuan whispered, "Have someone fetch some of the grass leaf near those flowers for me." Upon hearing her request, Xiao Nani didn't ask anyone else but elegantly leaped forward, plucked a bunch of the grass leaf, and handed them to Jiang Peihuan. Taking the leaves from him, Jiang Peihuan sniffed them. She then smiled at Wan Dashan. "General Wan, have your soldiers eat these leaves. Once they do, they can safely pass. Did you all hear? Quickly consume these leaves." Upon Jiang Peihuan's command, Wan Dashan promptly instructed his men, not even questioning her about the effectiveness of the leaves. Jiang Peihuan smiled, appreciating Wan Dashan's implicit trust in her. As everyone began consuming the leaves, Jiang Peihuan was about to eat one herself when Xiao Nani stopped her. Meeting her puzzled gaze, he said softly, "You're currently pregnant. You can't take medicine indiscriminately. This herb isn't harmful. Still, it's not allowed." Before she could reply, he continued, "Every medicine has its side effects, especially at this crucial time for you." After that, Xiao Nani looked at Wan Dashan, who was still standing there. "What are you waiting for? Do you want me to lead the way? I'll head there right now." After a pause, Wan Dashan cheerfully told Jiang Peihuan, "Queen Cheng, since these white flowers no longer affect us, let me handle the situation from here. You and King Qing can wait here for news." With that, Wan Dashan led his soldiers into Rhe Mountains. Although Jiang Peihuan wanted to accompany them, seeing Xiao Nani's reluctance, she didn't insist. While waiting in the carriage, it wasn't long before Jiang Peihuan heard the sounds of fighting from the mountains. Seeing Xiao Nani's calm demeanor, she inferred that Wan Dashan must be skilled. Even though she had guessed Rhe outcome, she was still surprised when Wan Dashan came down the mountain, dragging a man. An hour later, upon reaching the carriage, Wan Dashan threw the man to the ground. "Your Highness, I've captured Wan Yang." Wan Yang was the bandit leader of this mountain. Following the sound, Jiang Peihuan looked at the man on the ground. Had he not been brought down by Wan Dashan, she would have found it hard to believe he was a bandit leader. Wan Yang was wearing a blue robe, which Jiang Peihuan recognized as the attire of a scholar. "Wan Yang, you've utterly disgraced the Wan family." Wan Dashan's disdainful gaze settled on Wan Yang as he scolded him. Wan Yang, however, showed no emotion but replied with a faint smile. "In these chaotic times, with an ineffective emperor, why shouldn't one rise up? You think you're in the right to rebel? I should end you right now." Wan Dashan's eyes blazed with anger at Wan Yang's audacity, but Wan Yang's taunting smirk only deepened. "Even if you kill me, it won't stop those behind me from continuing their plans." "The people behind you?" The previously silent Xiao Nani suddenly spoke. Hearing the voice, Wan Yang looked at Xiao Nani. As their eyes met, there was a hint of astonishment and complexity in Wan Yang's eyes, but his expression quickly returned to normal. Facing Xiao Nani, Wan Yang said with a faint smile, "King Cheng, do you really believe that one, a mere scholar, can command all these bandits? I'm just a puppet. If that's the case, who's the mastermind behind you? I can tell you who's behind all this if you agree to one condition of mine. If the king agrees to. Do you think in your current situation, you have the right to negotiate terms with me?" Xiao Nani interrupted Wan Yang's speech. From the side, Wan Dashan chimed in with a mocking tone. "A mere prisoner, and yet you think you can negotiate with the icing? My patience is limited." Xiao Nani's voice was soft but held an intimidating undertone. Facing Xiao Nani's gaze, Wan Yang shivered. Thinking of the words that person told him, he blurted out, "I'll tell." Looking tip at Xiao Nani, he mustered the courage and said, "All of this the great general instructed me to do. Even the men were arranged by him." Upon hearing Wang Yang's confession, everyone was stunned, including Jiang Peihuan in the carriage. There's only one great general in the Qi kingdom, and that's Jiang Hong. Just as Jiang Peihuan was about to speak, Xiao Nani, with fierce eyes, retorted, "Nonsense. The great general has not left the capital since returning from the northern border. How could he have orchestrated all this? Who told you to say this?" His voice barely faded when Xiao Nanya's sword was already pressed against Wang Yang's neck. Feeling Arichi cold blade, terror filled Wang Yang's eyes. But recalling the words of that person, he still firmly said, "Everything one said is the truth. If the icing doesn't believe me, you can go and check. If you want tell, I'll end you right now." Before Wang Yang could finish, Xiao Nani exerted more pressure with his sword. But from behind, Jiang Peihuan's voice intervened. "Wait." Xiao Nani had already swung his sword, but hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice he redirected it, only wounding Wang Yang's arm. Jiang Peihuan lifted the carriage curtain. Seeing her step out, Xiao Nani quickly went forward to support Jiang Peihuan's hand. "It's just his nonsense, don't take it to heart." "I don't mind, but one can't let malicious people frame my father." While speaking, Jiang Peihuan walked straight to where Wang Yang was. When Wang Yang heard a female voice, he instinctively raised his head. Upon seeing Jiang Peihuan, there was confusion in his eyes. Jiang Peihuan's gaze remained fixed on Wang Yang's face. Seeing his expression, she smirked. "You claim that my father is behind all this, yet you don't even recognize me?" Chapter 323. Framed, I am the eldest daughter of the Jiang family. Why haven't one ever heard my father mention you? Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Wang Yang's eyes showed a hint of panic, but he persisted. "The great general probably didn't mention me to the queen, thinking that such a significant matter shouldn't be disclosed to a woman." "Helly." Upon hearing Wang Yang's words, Jiang Peihuan let out a light chuckle. Although a smile adorned Jiang Peihuan's face, there wasn't a hint of amusement in her eyes, only darkness and fury. Looking at Wang Yang, Jiang Peihuan said coldly, "Do you know that the woman you speak of joined her father in battles at the age of 13? 4 generations, my Jiang family has risked our lives to protect the citizens of Qi Kingdom. Yet there are ungrateful traitors like you. Hanfeng, at your service." Hearing Jiang Peihuan's voice, Hanfeng immediately stepped forward. "Go and see if there are any other family members in his home. No matter who, execute them all." "Yes." Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's order, Hanfeng immediately mounted his horse. The previously cold-looking Wang Yang now displayed pure terror in his eyes. "This matter was all my doing. It has nothing to do with my family." Wang Yang looked at Jiang Peihuan, his eyes full of panic. However, Jiang Peihuan didn't even glance at him. As Hanfeng was about to whip his horse and leave, Wang Yang suddenly exclaimed, "I'll tell you, it wasn't the great general who instigated me. Someone instructed me to frame him purposely." Hearing this, Hanfeng pulled on the reins. Jiang Peihuan's already grim expression grew even darker. Approaching Wang Yang, she demanded, her eyes filled with fury, "Who told you to falsely accuse my father?" I don't know. I truly don't." Facing Jiang Peihuan's skeptical gaze, Wang Yang quickly said, "Each time that person contacted me, they sent a letter, and each time a different person delivered the message. So one genuinely don't know who it is." As he spoke, Wang Yang took out the letters. As Jiang Peihuan was about to take them, Xiao Nani stopped her. He took the letters from Wang Yang, read them, and then handed them to Jiang Peihuan. Jiang Peihuan carefully examined the letters, finding no clues. "Don't worry. There will always be some clues left behind. I will have someone investigate," Xiao Nani whispered, seeing Jiang Peihuan's furrowed brows. Given the current situation, all Jiang Peihuan could do was nod in agreement. "You bastard, how dare you frame a good person like the great general?" Wan Dashan's eyes were filled with anger as he kicked Wang Yang. By now, the bandits in the mountains were all captured. Looking at the bandits, Wan Dashan turned to Xiao Nani and asked, "Your Highness, how should these people be dealt with?" "Kill them, leave none alive." Upon hearing Xiao Nanye's chilling declaration, a shiver ran down everyone's spine. Upon seeing the man's icy demeanor, everyone involuntarily shivered. Your Highness, would this be? If they were merely bandits, I might have spared their lives, Xiao Nani interrupted. But every one of them has the blood of the common people on their hands. Such people don't deserve to live. Soon, all the bandits were executed. The entire mountain was dyed red. Seeing this bloodshed, Jiang Paihuan's eyes were filled with mixed emotions. Huan Air, let's go back first. Xiao Nani approached and took Jiang Paihuan's hand, leading her onto the carriage. The carriage then headed straight to their mansion in the city. As soon as Jiang Peihuan sat down, she saw Han Feng rushing in. After bowing to the couple, Han Feng turned to Xiao Nani. Master, news has come from the capital. Go on. Our people followed Duan Yan when he left, and he went directly to the capital. His junior sister is the side consort of the Prince Qing's mansion. Although Xiao Nani had severed one of his hands, Duan Yan was still alive. Hearing Han Feng's words, Jiang Peihuan showed a hint of surprise. She had suspected many, but she never thought it could be Lin Mengyao. In the capital, Pines and Crane's pavilion. Inside the private room, Lin Mengyao looked at Duan Yan sitting across from her, her eyes reflecting a mixture of feelings. However, Duan Yan seemed oblivious to her expression and said with remorse, Junior sister, it's all my fault. I not only failed to kill Jiang Peihuan but also... It's all right, senior brother. Before Duan Yan could finish, Lin Mengyao gently interrupted. Gazing at Duan Yan, her eyes were filled with tenderness. Senior brother, it's my fault. Because of me, you lost a hand to King Cheng and now can't practice bone shrinking technique. It's not your fault. How could this be blamed on you? It's all right. Even though I can't practice the bone shrinking technique, my skills remain. Once one recover, 111 definitely kill Jiang Peihuan for you. It's too late. As Duan Yan's voice fell, Lin Mengyao whispered. Seeing her, Duan Yan looked puzzled. Junior sister, what do you mean it's two? Before Duan Yan could finish, he felt a sharp pain in his abdomen. Touching his stomach, he looked in disbelief at Lin Mengyao. The gentleness in Lin A/Yinjiao's eyes disappeared instantly, replaced by mockery. Senior brother, you can't blame me. Blame yourself for being so incompetent. Jiang Peihuan is very smart. If you were still alive, she would surely trace it back to me. So, senior brother, please don't blame me. As she spoke, Lin Mengyao pulled out a dagger. She approached Duan Yan, aiming the dagger straight at his heart. Ha ha ha. But Duan Yan seemed oblivious to the dagger in Lin Menjiao's hand, bursting into laughter. The face of a grown man. Yet he let out a sharp, childlike laugh, sounding eerily sinister. Chapter 324. Meeting the Empress Dowager Capital City, the Imperial Palace. Your Majesty, His Highness King Cheng reports that everything in Anzhou has stabilized, and he and Queen Cheng are on their way back. This brat, he has helped me out this time. Emperor Qi Ming looked at the letter in his hand, his eyes filled with smiles. Seeing the emperor's smile, Wang Kuan also commented, The prince has always been loyal to you. He is my own younger brother, of course he is loyal to me. But as for my several good sons, humph. Thinking of Xiao Nani, the emperor's eyes were filled with warmth. But recalling the recent activities of several princes, his smile instantly faded, replaced by a stormy look. When Emperor Qi Ming received the news, others also got the message. The first to receive the news was the Great Empress Dowager. Is he that lucky? The Great Empress Dowager lay in bed, her eyes filled with anger. The old nanny didn't dare to make a sound. After the Great Empress Dowager calmed down a little, she said softly, It's all thanks to Queen Cheng that King Cheng is safe and sound this time. Jiang Peihuan, one might not be able to do anything to Xiao Nani, but I can certainly deal with her, can't I? Go find 2 good-looking mates for me. Your Royal Majesty, it's said that King Cheng values the Queen greatly. If you send people to him at this time, it might upset him. So what if I upset him? Will he dare to harm me? He wouldn't dare harm you, Your Royal Majesty, but I'm afraid he might take out his anger on the prince. The old maid whispered the last part. The great Empress Dowager's expression darkened upon hearing this. However, she coldly said, Queen Cheng is now pregnant. One can grant 2 maids to King Cheng, and nobody can say anything about it. The old nanny still wanted to say something, but seeing that the great Empress Dowager had already made up her mind, she didn't say anything more. By the time Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani returned to the capital, it was already half a month later. Emperor Qi Ming had Wang Kuan wait at the city gate. Soon, the couple followed Wang Kuan to the palace. As they disembarked the carriage, Jiang Peihuan quietly asked Wang Kuan, How has your health been lately? Thanks to the medicine from the queen, I've been feeling much better. That's good. After saying this, Jiang Peihuan didn't say more. She and Xiao Nani proceeded to the Qianqing Palace. Quick, get up. Upon seeing Emperor Qi Ming, both Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani paid their respects. However, as Xiao Nani bent down, the emperor reached out to support him. Jiang Peihuan, on the other hand, knelt directly. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan's eyes filled with exasperation. Xiao Nani, seeing Jiang Peihuan on the ground, immediately helped her up, right in front of Emperor Qi Ming. The emperor, seeing this, coughed lightly and said, Queen Cheng, please rise. Thank you, Your Majesty. Nani, you've done a great service this time. This time, the quick stabilization of Anzhou was all thanks to Huan Air. Before Emperor Qi Ming could finish, Xiao Nani interrupted him. Hearing this, the corners of the emperor's mouth twitched. Just as he was about to speak, he heard the eunuch's voice coming from the door. Your Majesty, the great Empress Dowager heard that King Cheng and the Queen Cheng have entered the palace and has specially summoned the queen. Since the great Empress Dowager has summoned you, Queen Cheng, you should go and pay your respects. Upon hearing this, Xiao Nani was about to object, but Jiang Peihuan gently tugged his sleeve. With a glance towards the emperor, Jiang Peihuan politely responded, Yes, Your Majesty. As she entered the inner chamber, she noticed 2 stunningly beautiful maids. With just one glance, she discerned the great Empress Dowager's intentions. As expected, I heard that you are pregnant. Yes, Your Royal Majesty. Although Nani is not of my own blood, he grew up before my eyes. Now that you are pregnant, let these 2 maids serve him. Technically, these arrangements should be made by you, his legitimate wife. But you are young, so one took the liberty. Go and meet them. Hold on. Before Jiang Peihuan could speak, a deep male voice sounded from behind. Rushing into the chamber was Xiao Nani, closely followed by Emperor Qi Ming. Upon seeing Xiao Nani, a mixture of surprise and warmth flashed across Jiang Peihuan's eyes. Meanwhile, a hint of hostility appeared in the great Empress Dowager's eyes at his sight. She had always had an inherent desire to kill Xiao Nani, but now she couldn't. Watching Xiao Nani bow, the great Empress Dowager commented, It's good you're here. I was just telling your queen to take these 2 maids back with her to serve you. Great Empress Dowager, if you don't mind these 2 becoming corpses, then by all means, send them to King Cheng's mansion. Xiao Nani interrupted her abruptly. The great Empress Dowager hadn't expected such audacity, especially in front of Emperor Qi Ming. Turning to the emperor, she exclaimed, Look at him. Do you hear what he's saying? Does he respect me at all? Mother, calm down. He's always been this way, the emperor retorted, then scolded Xiao Nani. What nonsense are you talking? The great Empress Dowager is doing this for your own good. Imperial brother, in this life, I only want Huan Air. Aside from her, no other woman will catch my eye. If you think the maids the great Empress Dowager has granted are good, then they're yours. With your numerous palaces and chambers, you'll surely have space for them. What are you implying? What do you think you are to me? Hearing Xiao Nani's remarks, the emperor's fury was palpable. However, Xiao Nani remained nonchalant. After a cursory bow, he said, I've traveled a long way and am tired. I'll take Huan Air home to rest. With that, he led Jiang Peihuan away. Look at his attitude. The great Empress Dowager exclaimed. The Empress Dowager was so angry that her eyes turned red as she watched Xiao Nani leave. The emperor, unfazed by Xiao Nani's audacity, soothed, Mother, that's just how he is. Please don't take it to heart. This statement only infuriated the great Empress Dowager further. Meanwhile, Xiao Nani had already left the Xianing Palace with Jiang Peihuan. Xiao Nani, is it appropriate for us to leave like this? Chapter 325. The Empress is pregnant, don't worry, I know what to do. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, the man whispered in reply. Upon hearing what Xiao Nani said, Jiang Peihuan chose not to comment further. Initially, Jiang Peihuan had planned to leave the palace directly with Xiao Nani, but when they reached the door of Kuanning Palace, Jiang Peihuan suddenly thought of the Empress. After pondering for a moment, Jiang Peihuan turned to the man beside her and said, Xiao Nani, let's go see the Empress. Okay. Xiao Nani held the Empress in good regard, so when he heard Jiang Peihuan's suggestion he did not decline, choosing to accompany Jiang Peihuan to Kuanning Palace instead. Why are the two of you free to visit today? One heard you both returned from Anzhou. I was thinking of summoning you to the palace tomorrow. As Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani entered the Kuanning Palace, the Empress was in conversation with her maidservant. Seeing the two of them, the Empress' eyes lit up with joy. Greetings to the Empress. Approaching the Empress, both of them bowed. As Jiang Peihuan prepared to bow, the Empress reached out to hold her hand. Holding Jiang Peihuan's hand, the Empress softly said, Now that you're pregnant, refrain from excessive formalities. After all, we're family, no need to be so formal. One mustn't discard courtesy. You, hearing Jiang Peihuan's response, a deeper smile formed in the eyes of the Empress. Back when Jiang Peihuan had cured her of the poison, the Empress was immensely grateful. However, if Jiang Peihuan disregarded etiquette now, the Empress, though silent, would have reservations. Now, seeing that Jiang Peihuan still maintained her manners, the Empress looked at her warmly. Fetch some cow's milk for Queen Cheng. Yes. Upon hearing the Empress' command, the maidservant quickly departed. Moments later, a warm cup of cow's milk was placed beside Jiang Peihuan. Watching the maidservant serve the milk, the Empress gently laughed. Being pregnant, you shouldn't drink tea. This cow's milk is very nourishing, you should drink more. Thank you, Your Royal Majesty. Jiang Peihuan didn't particularly like the taste of the milk, thinking it had a fishy taste. However, heeding the Empress' words, she took a sip from her cup. She had intended to take just a small sip, but after tasting it, she realized there was no fishy taste, but instead, a faint hint of sesame. She actually quite liked this flavor. Your Royal Majesty, the cow's milk here tastes exceptionally good. Jiang Peihuan said to the Empress while slowly sipping the milk. Xiao Nani had been silently listening to their conversation, but after hearing Jiang Peihuan's comment, he directly asked the Empress, Imperial sister-in-law, can you give me the recipe for this milk? You really don't stand on ceremony. Hearing Xiao Nani's request, the Empress chuckled. Jiang Peihuan looked a bit embarrassed. However, since Xiao Nani had already asked, Jiang Peihuan remained silent. When you leave the palace later, I'll have someone provide you with the recipe. Thank you, Imperial sister-in-law. Thank you, Empress. Upon hearing the Empress' words, Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani both expressed their gratitude. The Empress, however, laughed it off. It's just a recipe, nothing significant. Your Royal Majesty, I came today to take your pulse. At this moment, Jiang Peihuan revealed her purpose for visiting the Kuanning Palace. Hearing this, the Empress nodded and extended her hand. Quan Air, then 111 have to trouble you. You're too kind, Your Royal Majesty. As she spoke, Jiang Peihuan approached the Empress. After sitting down next to her, she reached out to feel the Empress' pulse. At first, Jiang Peihuan's expression was calm, but as time went on, her eyes widened in surprise. Quan Air, is there something wrong with my body? The time Jiang Peihuan spent checking the Empress' pulse was longer than usual. By the time she released the Empress' hand, the Empress couldn't help but look at her with growing anxiety. Hearing the Empress' words, Jiang Peihuan replied, Congratulations, Your Royal Majesty. Congratulations? Quan Air, where does this joy come from? Confusion clouded the Empress' eyes. In response to her puzzled look, Jiang Peihuan whispered, Your Royal Majesty, I've just checked your pulse and found that you're pregnant. Huan Er, is that true? Am I truly pregnant? Upon hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, the Empress was stunned. A few seconds later, her eyes filled with excitement. She tightly grasped Jiang Peihuan's hand. Jiang Peihuan nodded affirmatively. Indeed, your Royal Majesty is pregnant. Is this really true? At this moment, an excited voice echoed from the entrance. It was Emperor Qi Ming. No one knew when Emperor Qi Ming arrived. In fact, when he heard that Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani were at the Kunning Palace, he too came over. Originally, he came to advise Xiao Nani not to be overly devoted to Jiang Peihuan. But now, hearing the news of the Empress' pregnancy, all other concerns were forgotten. Emperor Qi Ming's excitement surpassed even that of the Empress. Seeing Jiang Peihuan not responding, he repeated his question. Queen Cheng, is what you just said true? Is the Empress really pregnant? Answering your Majesty, the Empress is indeed pregnant. However, to be on the safe side, you should summon the palace doctor to examine the Empress again. You're right. Wang Kuan, go personally and call for the palace chief doctor to examine the Empress. Yes. Wang Kun's eyes also showed excitement. Why wouldn't he be? It's the Empress after all. If the Empress gives birth to a crown prince this time, it would be a huge event. Others might not know, but as someone who has served Emperor Qi Ming for decades, Wang Kuan knew very well. Emperor Qi Ming held traditional views. In his eyes, the heir is most important. This was also why, for so many years, Emperor Qi Ming did not name a crown prince. As long as the Empress delivers an heir, the title of crown prince will be beyond the reach of other princes. The chief doctor quickly arrived at Kunning Palace to check the Empress' pulse. His diagnosis confirmed Jiang Peihuan's findings. Upon receiving a positive confirmation, joy filled Emperor Qi Ming's eyes. Rewards for everyone in Kunning Palace. Thank you, Your Majesty. Congratulations to Your Majesty and the Empress. Hearing Emperor Qi Ming's words, everyone joyously expressed their felicitations. At this time, the Empress, with a smile, said to Emperor Qi Ming, if you truly wish to reward, you should properly reward Huan Er. One of my pregnancy to her. Chapter 326. Want to bestow a marriage, indeed a reward is in order. Upon hearing the Empress' words, Emperor Qi Ming turned his gaze to Jiang Peihuan. Originally, Emperor Qi Ming held some reservations about Jiang Peihuan, but now, that hint of displeasure vanished in an instant. Meanwhile, the chief doctor beside them looked on with astonishment. He had previously diagnosed the Empress' pulse, and given her health condition, it seemed nearly impossible for her to become pregnant. But in just a few months, the Empress was now pregnant. The chief doctor was full of surprise and confusion. After some thought, he directed his gaze at Jiang Peihuan. Queen Cheng, there's something I don't understand. May I inquire? Do you wish to ask about Eiler Royal Majesty's pregnancy? Jiang Peihuan anticipated his question without even needing to think. After seeing him nod, Jiang Peihuan continued. Her Royal Majesty was indeed weak before, but I have since provided some treatments to strengthen her. Jiang Peihuan's response was straightforward and seemed to resolve the doctor's doubts. Hearing her explanation, the chief doctor was all the more amazed, but he chose not to comment further. Certain matters related to the palace's secrets were not to be discussed openly. Facing Jiang Peihuan, he bowed slightly and said, Your medical skills are outstanding, Queen Cheng. I'm truly impressed. It's merely basic knowledge. You flatter me too much, Chief. Queen Cheng, you've accomplished a lot this time, and combined with the matter in Anzhou, both officially and personally, I should reward you handsomely. All these are my duties. Then one will arrange a marriage for your elder brother to the fourth princess. You're already the queen of Cheng Mansion. I don't know what more I could reward you with. I remember your elder brother hasn't married yet, and the fourth princess is of marriageable age. Thus, I want to bestow the fourth princess to your brother. What do you think? Upon hearing Emperor Qi Ming's words, Jiang Peihuan was stunned. When she thought of her elder brother, Jiang Changbai, the first person that came to her mind was Lu Xian. Jiang Paihuan's first instinct was to decline, but an emperor's decree wasn't something she could simply refuse. After a pause, Jiang Peihuan said to Emperor Qi Ming, "Your Majesty, I cannot decide on my elder brother's marriage. This matter should be returned to my parents." "That's reasonable." Wang Kuan, summon Jiang Hong to the palace. "Imperial brother, let's discuss this tomorrow. Quan Er and I have just returned from Anzhou, and our father is waiting for us at home." Seeing Jiang Paihuan's discomfort, Xiao Nani intervened, addressing Emperor Qi Ming. Heeding Xiao Nanya's advice, Emperor Qi Ming decided not to pursue the matter further, focusing his attention on the empress instead. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani took their leave. Upon exiting Kuanning Palace, Jiang Paihuan's face revealed a troubled expression. Inside the carriage, Xiao Nani saw Jiang Paihuan's troubled face and reached out to hold her hand, whispering, "It's all right, don't worry. This marriage proposal might not even come to pass. I'm afraid my elder brother only has Xian air in his heart. Although grandmother hasn't given her consent, she hasn't shown the same level of opposition as before. One believe it's only a matter of time. If news of the bestowed marriage breaks out now, both my elder brother and Lu Xian will be devastated. It's okay. As long as the imperial decree isn't issued, there's still room for change." Now that was the only way, especially since Jiang Changbai was still on his way back from Anzhou. Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani didn't return to the Cheng mansion, but went straight to the general's mansion. Just as they arrived at the entrance, they saw a crowd waiting. Led by Jiang Hong, the entire Jiang family was there, including Jiang Ruyun, who had recently married. By her side stood Chao Jun. Chao Jun's mental state had improved considerably compared to before. Seeing this, Jiang Peihuan let out a sigh of relief. However, recalling what Emperor Qi Ming had said in the palace earlier, Jiang Peihuan couldn't help but frown. "Quan Er, you're finally back?" "Yes, eldest sister. You have no idea how much mother has been missing you these past days." Beside them, Jiang Xijin laughed softly in response to Shui Yan's words. Hearing this, Jiang Peihuan smiled and held Shui Yan's hand. "I'm sorry for making mother worry. It's good that you're back. By the way, your grandmother is waiting for you in the Chrysanthemum Hall. You should go greet her." "All right, I'll go now." With that, Jiang Peihuan headed in the direction of the Chrysanthemum Hall. Meanwhile, Jiang Hong spoke kindly to Xiao Nani. "I heard the empress is pregnant?" "Yes, when we were in the palace, both Quan Er and the chief doctor confirmed it. Imperial sister-in-law is indeed pregnant." "That's good news. If the empress gives birth to a prince, it'll be great for consolidating the central palace's power." "If it's a prince, of course it's great. However, father, don't forget that the child in imperial sister-in-law's womb could also be a princess." Xiao Nanya's tone was very calm, but upon hearing this, Jiang Hong's excitement quickly faded. Yes, it could also be a princess. Given this situation, the empress might be under a lot of pressure. This was said by Shui Yan. Upon hearing her words, everyone fell silent. Jiang Paihuan's eyes also revealed some complicated emotions. When she first helped the empress improve her health, she never imagined the empress would become pregnant so soon. Initially, everyone was elated at the news, but now Jiang Peihuan began to doubt whether it was truly a blessing. Quan Er. Lost in her thoughts, Jiang Peihuan arrived at the entrance of the Chrysanthemum Hall. As she entered, she immediately saw old Madame Jiang standing at the entrance. "Grandmother?" Upon seeing her, Jiang Peihuan quickly approached, but before she could bow, old Madame Jiang grasped her hand. "I'm so glad you're back. Of course I would return. I promised to be here for your grand birthday celebration. Come sit with me. Oh Nani, you're here too." Holding on to Jiang Peihuan, old Madame Jiang started walking in, but after a few steps, as if remembering something, she stopped and turned to Xiao Nani, smiling warmly. Hearing her words, Xiao Nani replied with a gentle smile. "Thank you, grandmother." The longer he stayed with the Jiang family, the more he cherished their warmth and hospitality. It felt like home. "Brother-in-law, this is fruit wine I brewed myself. Please have a taste." Just as Xiao Nani settled down, Jiang Xijin hurriedly approached him, presenting a small porcelain bottle. For you. For me. Seeing the porcelain bottle in Jiang Xijin's hand, Xiao Nani replied with a smile. Meeting his gaze, Jiang Xijin nodded in confirmation. Chapter 327. Countermeasure. Following up with a shy voice. Brother-in-law, you've given me many valuable gifts, but I haven't been able to offer anything in return. However, this fruit wine was brewed by my own hands, so please accept it as a token of my gratitude. I hope you won't find it lacking. Taking the porcelain bottle from Jiang Xijin's hand, Xiao Nani held it up to his nose and took a sniff, then smiled at Jiang Xijin. This wine is good. I like it a lot. If you like it, that's great. One will brew more next time. This was my first time brewing, so the amount of wine produced was quite limited. Saying this, Jiang Xijin looked a bit embarrassed. After presenting the wine to Xiao Nani, Jiang Xijin walked over to Qiao Jun. She also handed him a white porcelain bottle, saying, Second brother-in-law, this is for you. I get one too? Thank you, little sister. Seeing the fruit wine Jiang Xijin presented to him, Qiao Jun smiled and his face showed his usual refined demeanor. What about mine? Don't I get one? Seeing that Jiang Xijin had distributed wine to everyone but him, Jiang Songbai couldn't help but speak up. Hearing him, Jiang Xijin said awkwardly, the bottle for third uncle was the last one. I genuinely don't have any more. Next time, I'll make it up to you. I knew it. Upon hearing Jiang Xijin's words, Jiang Songbai looked disappointed but didn't press further. Jiang Peihuan sat next to the old madam and watching the scene unfold with a smile. In this lifetime, everyone in the Jiang family was alive and well. After having dinner in old Madame Jiang's hall, Jiang Peihuan went to Shui Yan's residence with Xiao Nani. Father, mother, I have something important to discuss with you. Sitting down on a chair, Jiang Peihuan looked seriously at the couple. Seeing her solemn expression, Shui Yan and Jiang Hong became worried. Huan did something happen? Mother, the emperor wants to bestow the fourth princess to elder brother. What did you say? Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Shui Yan almost knocked over her teacup, but Jiang Hong grabbed her hand. Seeing Shui Yan's reaction, Jiang Peihuan quickly explained the situation and continued. Father, I believe the emperor will summon you to the palace tomorrow. I'm afraid I have to think of a way to refuse. Even though your father handed over the commander's seal, making the emperor less wary of the Jiang family, it doesn't mean we can defy the emperor repeatedly. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Shui Yan murmured, her eyes filled with worry. Jiang Hong and Xiao Nani remained silent. After a moment, Xiao Nani suddenly spoke. To defy the decree, it doesn't necessarily have to be the Jiang family. Hearing the man's voice, the three members of the Jiang family looked at him. Meeting their gaze, Xiao Nani calmly stated, From what I know, the fourth princess, being spoiled by Dream Empress, is very unruly. The Dream Empress has always wanted to marry the fourth princess to her nephew. So she introduced the fourth princess to Zhao's son a long time ago. If this information reaches the fourth princess, Dream Empress, and the Zhao family, they'll be even more anxious than the Jiang family. It seems we need to find a way to let this news reach the fourth princess. I'll get someone to do this. Hearing Xiao Nani's words, Jiang Peihuan nodded without saying anything. Regarding Xiao Nani's knowledge of palace matters, Jiang Peihuan was not surprised at all. After all, Xiao Nani grew up in the palace, so it's quite common for him to be aware of these things. With a plan in place, the worry in Shui Yan's eyes had somewhat diminished. Seeing that Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani were still sitting, she whispered, Huan you and the king must be tired after your journey. It would be best if you both return to Plum Garden to rest. Yes. After paying their respects to Jiang Hong and Shui Yan, Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani headed back to Plum Garden. As soon as they entered the courtyard, a white figure rushed towards Jiang Peihuan. Who else could it be if not Xiaobai? When Xiaobai reached Jiang Peihuan, it stopped but kept circling around her excitedly. Seeing Xiaobai's enthusiastic behavior, Jiang Peihuan bent down to pet its head. Xiaobai, you've grown bigger again. The current Xiaobai probably weighed close to 400 pounds, its head reaching up to Jiang Peihuan's waist. As Jiang Peihuan reached out to pet Xiaobai, it licked her hand. Perhaps it had been a while since they met. Xiao Nani, watching this scene, didn't say anything but also reached out to pet Xiaobai. Xiaobai, perhaps recognizing the king from a long time ago, licked his hand in return, much to Xiao Nanya's dismay. All right, let's go inside. King and Queen Cheng, your bed is ready. Rest well, and if you need anything, just call me, Yu Er said, standing by the door. After paying her respects, she left. Neither Yu Er nor Lu Er liked to hover when Xiao Nani and Jiang Peihuan were alone. Jiang Peihuan understood why, but Xiao Nani seemed a bit puzzled. He raised an eyebrow and asked, "Am I that intimidating? Why do your maids run off when they see me?" Hearing his words, Jiang Peihuan chuckled. "It's not that you're intimidating. They just don't want to be caught up in any potential trouble." His confusion cleared with her explanation. Smiling, Xiao Nani commented, "The people around you are quite clever." Of course. Both Jiang Peihuan and Xiao Nani were genuinely tired, and after chatting a while, they soon lay down to sleep. Yet that night, many found it hard to sleep. In the mansion of Prince Qing, Xiao Juanhao sat in his study. Facing Pei Wu, he asked coldly, "Are you certain the Empress is pregnant?" It was Queen Cheng and the head of the Imperial Academy of Medicine both confirmed it. It's very likely true. The Empress is pregnant after all these years without any sign of pregnancy. Why now? Xiao Junhao's eyes were filled with jealousy. Others might not understand, but he was acutely aware of his father's desire for a legitimate heir. Isn't that why a crown prince hasn't been named after all these years? Saving the position for a legitimate heir? According to my investigation, it seems the Queen Cheng helped nurse the Empress back to health. It's her again, Jian Peihuan. Why does she always have to go against me? Xiao Juanhao exclaimed, crushing the teacup in his hand. The shards dug into his palm, but he felt no pain. When Pei Wu saw the scene, he couldn't help but frown. "Your Highness, there's no need to overthink. It's not certain if the Empress will give birth successfully. And even if she does, it might not be a prince. It could be a princess. Yes, I still have a chance. Now that the Empress is just pregnant, there's still 10 months before the birth." Chapter 328. Entering the palace to report good news, Your Highness? At this moment, Jiang Yan's voice suddenly echoed from the entrance. Seeing her come in, Pei Wu gave a bow and then promptly left. Jiang Yan greeted Xiao Juanhao with a bow, and then took a seat beside him. Why has the princess consort come here? Due to their previous interactions involving silver, Xiao Junhao's attitude towards Jiang Yan had become much warmer. Although they weren't extremely close, their exchanges were amicable. Hearing Xiao Juanhao, Jiang Yan responded with a smile. 1 a.m. here to share some joyous news with Your Highness. Joyous news? What might that be? Hearing Jiang Yan's words, doubt shone in Xiao Junhao's eyes. Meeting his puzzled gaze, Jiang Yan softly placed a hand on her belly, whispering, "Your Highness, I am pregnant." "What did you say?" Xiao Juanhao instinctively looked at Jiang Yan's abdomen. Noting her gesture, his eyes reflected a hint of pleasant surprise. "Princess consort, is what you say true?" "The doctor has already confirmed. Thus, one came especially to inform Your Highness of this wonderful news. However, I'm also worried about any potential misdiagnosis. I've heard that side consort Lin is well versed in medicine. Perhaps she could examine me too?" "Someone. Your Highness." As Xiao Juanhao spoke, a servant by the doorway stepped forward. Seeing him, Xiao Juanhao said lightly, "Go and invite secondary consort Lin over." "Yes." After the servant left, Jiang Yan continued, "I heard that the Empress is also pregnant." "Indeed." Hearing Jiang Yan's words, the elation in Xiao Junhao's eyes vanished instantly. Observing this, Jiang Yan whispered, "Your Highness, the Empress holds a significant position. If she gives birth to a prince, the other princes might become insignificant. Of course, I am aware that the birth of a child isn't something we can control." Xiao Juanhao was acutely aware of everything Jiang Yan was hinting at. Jiang Yan's smile remained unchanged. After Xiao Juanhao finished speaking, she lowered her voice. Your Highness, given this uncertainty, why not eliminate this variable in its infancy? You suggest that one should harm the child in the Empress womb? Hearing Jiang Yan's words, Xiao Juanhao subconsciously looked at her with a complicated look in his eyes. Upon hearing Jiang Yan's words, Xiao Juanhao looked at her, his eyes filled with complexity. Yet, Jiang Yan's smile never wavered. Looking at Xiao Juanhao, she quipped, Your Highness, have you ever heard the phrase, killing with a borrowed knife? Why should Your Highness personally intervene? The pregnancy of the Empress must be causing distress not only to you, but to others as well. After all, the Emperor has numerous sons. Jiang Yan ceased speaking as footsteps were heard approaching. Submerged in thought after Jiang Yan's words, Xiao Junhao's mind was brought back by Lin Mingyu's voice. Greetings, Your Highness and Your Highness Consort. Lin Mingyao approached the two and offered a soft bow. Hearing Lin Mingyu's voice, Xiao Junhao turned his attention to her. Before Xiao Juanhao could speak, Jiang Yan interjected. Side Consort Lin, today, we've asked for you because one haven't been feeling well. After consulting the doctor, he believes I'm pregnant. I don't trust the doctor's diagnosis entirely. Knowing your proficiency in medicine, I thought it best to have you diagnose me. Jiang Yan's voice was gentle, and her face radiated with a smile. But her eyes lacked any hint of mirth when looking at Lin Mingyao. Hearing this, Lin Mingyu's expressions were equally intricate. Yao Heir, please diagnose the princess consort. It was Xiao Junhao's voice that brought Lin Mingyao back to the present. Wearing a warm smile, Lin Mingyao approached Jiang Yan. After sitting, she said, Your Highness Consort, allow me to take your pulse. Hearing this, Jiang Yan extended her hand. Lin Mingyao examined Jiang Yan thoroughly. Releasing her hand, she confirmed with a smile. Indeed, Your Highness Consort exhibits signs of pregnancy. That's wonderful news. Your Highness, if one bear a son, he will be the Emperor's eldest grandson. Indeed, the first of the Emperor's grandchildren. That's right. Xiao Junhao's eyes sparkled with joy. Your Highness, even though it's not yet been 3 months and such matters are typically kept quiet, considering this child might be the Emperor's first grandchild, perhaps it's best you report this joyous news to the Emperor. You're right. This matter should be reported to Imperial Father. But, Your Highness, one have a request. What is it? The attendants by my side are rather clumsy. Since side consort is adept in medicine, might she look after me during my pregnancy? What do you think, Your Highness? This. Hearing Jiang Yan's words, Xiao Juanhao instinctively glanced at Lin Mingyao. The man seemed to have thought of something, and there was some hesitation in his eyes. At this, Lin Mingyao interjected. Your Highness, I've been tasked with matters you've previously assigned and am presently engaged with them. One fear may first not have the time to attend to the princess consort. If one were to neglect her, wouldn't that be my fault? Then Xiao Juanhao said, Princess consort, if you are unsatisfied with the attendants, one can arrange experienced maids from the palace to serve you. Thank you, Your Highness, Jiang Yan replied. Rest well. I'll proceed to the palace to report the good news. Following these words, Xiao Juanhao left, leaving Jiang Yan and Lin Mingyao seated. Once he departed, the smile on Jiang Yan's face vanished, replaced by a gloomy expression. Looking at Lin Mingyao, Jiang Yan sternly remarked, I'm well aware of your past relationship with His Highness. I won't make things difficult for you out of respect for him, but never covet what isn't rightfully yours. What, in your eyes, rightfully belongs to me? And what belongs to you? His Highness, perhaps? Lin Mingyao fired back with a series of questions, making Jiang Yan frown. I have matters to attend to for His Highness. 111 Take my leave now. After a respectful nod to Jiang Yan, Lin Mingyao promptly exited without a backward glance. Jiang Yan, watching her retreating figure, had a shadowed expression. In the imperial palace, Wang Kuan discreetly approached Emperor Qi Ming, whispering, Your Majesty, Prince Qing is here. What is he doing here? Upon hearing Wang Kun's words, Emperor Qi Ming set down his brush, replying indifferently, "Let him in." Moments later, Xiao Juanhao entered the grand hall. Chapter 329. Madame Li's worry. After bowing to Emperor Qi Ming, Xiao Juanhao smiled at him and said, "Father, one came today to report good news." "Oh, today, the main princess consort was found to be pregnant. This is a happy occasion, and I've come to share the joy with you." "Your wife is pregnant?" Upon hearing Xiao Junhao's words, Emperor Qi Ming's expression brightened considerably. "Yes, the doctor has confirmed it. The empress just got pregnant, and now your wife is pregnant too. It seems that the fortunes of our Qi kingdom are truly flourishing." Emperor Qi Ming's eyes were filled with joy. Looking at Xiao Juanhao in front of him, Emperor Qi Ming advised, "The child in your wife's womb will be my first grandchild. Whether a boy or girl, their status will be unique. Ensure she is well taken care of." "Yes. Wang Kuan, go to the storeroom and find some nourishing supplements. Later have them sent to Prince Qing's mansion." "Yes." Given the news of the Qing princess consort pregnancy, Emperor Qi Ming's attitude toward Xiao Juanhao improved greatly, and he no longer brought up past issues. Upon leaving the Qianqing palace, Xiao Junhao's eyes were filled with smiles. However, instead of leaving the palace directly, he headed towards the inner palace. The news of Qing princess consort's pregnancy had yet to spread among the court officials, as they were still engrossed in the surprise of the empress' pregnancy, and while there were those thrilled by the news, others were terrified. At the court officials' mansion of the Li family, "She's pregnant? How is that possible?" Upon hearing the news, Madame Li dropped her teacup on the carpet, shattering it instantly. "Madam, please keep your voice down." An old nanny beside her tried to calm Madame Li, whispering soothing words. Madame Li, after regaining her composure, still had a hint of panic in her eyes. "After all we've done, how can she still be pregnant? It's said that the Queen of Cheng Mansion happened to have improved the Queen's health. Is there really such a coincidence? Lu Yin, do you think she knows what we did?" Upon hearing Madame Li's words, Lu Yin paled but reassured in a low voice, "No way. Madam, all these years you've shown great affection towards the Empress. She would never suspect you. It must be a coincidence." "My lord." Just as Madame Li was about to speak, she heard a voice from the entrance. Exchanging glances with Lu Yin, she greeted the newcomer with a smile. Lord Li, dressed in a blue robe, walked into Madame Li's courtyard with a stern expression. But today, there was a hint of warmth in his otherwise stern eyes. "My lord, what brings you to my quarters today?" "The Empress is pregnant. I've just received the news and came to share it with you." When mentioning the Empress, Lord Li's eyes were filled with tenderness. Witnessing this, a complex emotion flickered in Madame Li's eyes. But when Lord Li looked at her, her expression quickly returned to normal, and she responded with a smile. "This is truly wonderful news. I'll have some nourishing supplements prepared and sent to the palace. You are meticulous in your tasks. You handle the arrangements. However, given the Empress is now pregnant and will have many expenses, when you send the supplements, prepare a little more silver as well." Upon hearing Lord Li's words, Madame Li seemed startled. Noticing her silence, Lord Li couldn't help but look at her. "Madam, did you hear what I said?" "I was too overjoyed. One forgot what you mentioned, my lord." "My lord, rest assured, one will have the silver prepared." Hearing this, Lord Li nodded in satisfaction. Moments later, Lord Li left. Madame Li watched his retreating figure, her eyes filled with a gloomy expression. "Lu Yin, did you see? After all these years in his heart, it's always been about his eldest daughter. Madam, prepare some supplements and have them sent to the palace. Remember, prepare them yourself." Upon hearing Madame Li's instructions, Lu Yin wanted to say something, but she remained silent, simply nodding and giving a bow. Jiang Peihuan was completely unaware of these happenings. After returning to the general's mansion, Jiang Peihuan returned to her secluded lifestyle. But the next morning, someone from the Empress Palace visited her in the plum garden. It was the Empress' personal maid. Seeing her, Jiang Peihuan greeted with a smile. What brings you here today? Does the Empress have any instructions? Queen Cheng, the Empress wishes to invite you to the Kuan-Ning Palace for a visit. If that's the case, please wait a moment for me to change. There's no rush, Queen Cheng. Take your time. Jiang Peihuan smiled and headed inside without another word. Moments later, Jiang Peihuan emerged. However, as she walked into the courtyard, she noticed Xiao Nani approaching. Xiao Nani originally went to Jiang Shangbai's courtyard to talk to him. Upon hearing the news, he rushed straight to the plum garden. Greetings, Your Highness. The Empress maid, familiar with Xiao Nani, immediately greeted him. He nodded in acknowledgement, then turned to Jiang Peihuan. If you're visiting Imperial sister-in-law, I'll accompany you. As Xiao Nani approached, Jiang Peihuan noticed the beads of sweat on his forehead, indicating his haste. Hearing him, Jiang Peihuan smiled and wiped away his sweat with her handkerchief, then gently said, I'm merely going to chat with the Empress. What are you going to do there? Didn't elder brother want to discuss weapon improvements with you? Stay home and discuss it with him. You don't need to accompany me to the palace. When you are talking to Imperial sister-in-law, one will go and find Imperial brother. I won't disturb you. The implication was clear. He wanted to go with her. Jiang Peihuan felt helpless. For some time now, Xiao Nani had become clingy, always wanting to accompany her everywhere. In that case, let's go together. As they both made their way to the entrance, a white shadow darted out from the plum garden. Jiang Peihuan felt a tug on her dress. Turning around, she saw Xiao Bai biting her skirt. She frowned. Xiao Bai, no biting. Hearing Jiang Peihuan's words, Xiao Bai released the skirt but looked up at her, clearly indicating he wanted to come along too. We're heading to the palace, you can't come. Before Jiang Peihuan could respond, Xiao Nani directly addressed Xiao Bai. His eyes gleamed mischievously as he spoke. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.